Right, hello everyone. Welcome to the show. I'm here with my trusty co-host Hung Lo. How's it going, bro? How are you?
It's good. Thanks for having me back.
Otherwise known as SJJ, and special guest of the week, the one, the only, the mighty Welshman, Haryan himself. How's it going, buddy?
Again, not Welsh, just living here, but hello. It's
a Welsh invader. A Welsh. We're going to be talking a lot about the Welsh today, funny enough. But as always, at the beginning of the show, I'll just try and give a rundown of the news stories we're going to try and cover. I don't know if we actually are going to manage to cover all these stories because we'll just ramble and go in all different directions. But we're going to talk about the airport incident. We're obviously going to talk about the stabbing and the response and all of that. We want to talk about the Olympics. We want to talk about the lady who's in the fight, who just dropped out of the Olympics. And we want to talk about the economics situation with taxes being raised and all that. And we'll probably talk about a whole bunch of other stuff. But this is going to be a bit of a sad stream. And I want to just, because of what the Prime Minister's just come out and said, basically, and because everything seems to be just kicking off and going completely mental. Let me just say right at the beginning, MI5, this is a peace and love live stream. We're against violence on this stream, okay? We are not encouraging violence. We are simply commenting on the violence that has happened. And this violence, unfortunately, seems to be what happens when you introduce violent foreigners and Africans and God knows, like different people into English communities, and they go around stabbing children. Okay, so thought I'd say that. Now we want to talk about obviously the main story, but there's an unfinished story from last week which we just mentioned at the end actually. But of course there was the airport incident of the police officer stamping on the person's head while he was lying prone on the ground. Everybody was talking about this last week. This has kind of been memory hold a little bit. Actually, interesting enough, somebody just mentioned me on Twitter a story which has been completely memory hold, which is the military officer getting stabbed, which flashed up as a story for like a day.
Yeah. Completely forgot about that. Yeah,
totally gone now. And because I remember like the police officer was stamping on that guy's head, and some people were saying, "Oh, that's in he's riled up and pissed off because of what happened." But anyway, extra footage came out revealing that the Muslims basically just jumped the armed police in the middle of the airport, and they're kind of lucky not to get shot. So I don't know. Special guest Haryan, what do you think about that whole situation?
As you say, he's very lucky not to get shot. I think I do completely agree with that. I mean, it's a general issue with the rest of Britain. We're very against violence to the point where we even refuse to use it properly against people that are violent. Oh, the guy was lying prone on the floor. The only reason for that is because he was hit by a taser. They lost 5 seconds, and then you're in full control again. Like, worst case scenario from a taser is the way you fall. He didn't fall too badly, and so he could easily just get back up, and he might have a bit of muscle pain, but the man's on adrenaline at that point. He can obviously easily get up and fight again, so pacifying him with a boot to the face and the back of the head, even if that causes brain damage, it's better than a bullet, and it's perfectly reasonable as far as I can tell. But obviously,
what do you think? Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It was kind of a funny one, wasn't it? Because it's just like I don't know, man. Kicking a guy when he's down, but then it's like it's an airport, and like don't start a fight in an airport because terrorism. Do you know what I mean? Like it's pretty.
This is the point. He wouldn't have been kicked if he didn't hospitalise 3 women officers. That's just the fact of the matter. I don't have any sympathy for him at all.
Yeah.
And again, I think it's pretty restrained to not use a gun. I think it's pretty restrained just to boot him in the face and stamp him on the head once. Like, he's out then. He knew he was out. He knelt on his back. They were arrested. It was fine. I don't think he did anything wrong. As Lee Anderson said, I'd probably give him medals for the restraint.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he gets kicked out of the police force. or suspended or something.
Suspended for now, yeah. Suspended for now, and other firearms officers are just refusing to carry firearms now, because a bit like what happened in London a few years ago when they shot that guy trying to run them over. And then, do you remember that? I think it was 2 years ago, something like that.
No, I don't.
Armed police were chasing a criminal who was driving a car that was related to a firearms incident. And when they surrounded him, they shot him because he started driving into one of the officers and he died. And then, the officer that did that, I think he was suspended and got his firearms license got taken off him. And so a load of firearms officers in London just revoked their own licenses. But again, that's been memory hold as well, but you don't really hear the results of that. But with the amount of violence going on around the UK recently, I can't imagine it's been a good result.
Yeah, it's kind of. I do remember people like not police officers, but soldiers who were active in Northern Ireland getting dragged in front of a court, and that was going on for years. I don't remember anybody in our circles on the internet talking about it, but I remember reading about it in the Daily Mail repeatedly. They were like following the story, but essentially a lot of soldiers that were involved in the troubles chasing down the IRA, all of a sudden, like, they're all retired, they're in their 50s or 60s or 70s, and they're getting dragged in front of a court for human rights violations and all kinds of shit. And it's just like, why even bother? Do you know what I mean? Why join the police force? Why join the army? You try and protect the people of this country, and you just get screwed over by politicians. And what's the point? So yeah, it's kind of bad. But I thought we'd start with that story and then kind of like, oh man, I don't know, like segue into the horror. Do you want to give us the rundown? SJJ hung low.
The rundown on what?
The stabbing.
The stabbing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, everybody's heard about it so far. Obviously, I mean, what is there to say? There is a kid who Brutus and I found out his name, or at least I shared it with Brutus secretly. Didn't break the law. Sorry, everybody. We didn't publish it. We didn't break the law. Somebody on Twitter.
Well, it was on Twitter. I mean, I think somebody just leaked it to the internet, basically.
Yeah, it seemed to be somebody who knew him. She's got like information about him being kicked out of school. But anyway, if you've been living under a rock, and a Rwandan schoolboy who's almost 18 years old, but is 17 years old currently, I think, went into a gathering of kids for what was it?
Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift themed event.
Yeah.
And stabbed 11 kids. 3 of them are dead, more in critical condition. I heard that a delivery driver jumped on him and he's in critical condition as well. And then in the aftermath, there were lots of misinformation going around about who it was. A Muslim name was floated around the internet, Ali Allah Akbar or something like that.
We all know. The funny thing is, we all knew it was a Muslim even before we knew it was a Muslim. You know what I mean?
Well, it turns out it's not, isn't it? Isn't he of Christian parents?
Oh, is he really?
His parents are involved in the church. Is about all we've heard. So he's a legitimate Christian terrorist then. Oh, that's fantastic.
Well, God forbid. He fits the profile of far right.
Yeah.
Well, we all. I mean, when I say Muslim, I really just meant brown, but whatever.
Yeah.
Good God, you're trying to get on Stormer's radar, eh? God. Yeah,
because it's such a fast news cycle. So there's so much more has happened since this. The very night there was a vigil that was happening in the local area. If anybody doesn't know, this is a place just north of Liverpool. I've actually lived in Liverpool for a brief period of time, so I'm sort of familiar with the area. It's an area just north. I think it's just north of Liverpool. It's kind of where, it's kind of like a retirement place almost, where Scousers go to retire. Southport. So this is where it happened. There was a vigil that night. Apparently, people who weren't from the local area went to the place, and at the same time there was somebody who appears to be of non-English descent who was arrested with a knife, who was perhaps potentially going to like confront the people at the vigil, and this caused another skirmish that night, which then kicked off into protests, riots, and the altercation with the police, which then spread out throughout the country. And
so just to pause you here, how did the actual riot in Southport begin? Because I mean, we've all seen the videos. I was going to share the videos, but you advised me not to, because then this YouTube channel will get shut down or whatever. But I mean, if anybody in the chat hasn't seen the videos, there's a lot of videos on Twitter of white people burning down. They burned down a police van. Essentially, they're throwing bricks at the police. Like, it was a pretty serious fight. It's the worst attack on the police that I've seen, I think. I mean, the only thing that came close is the whole free Tommy Robinson thing that was about 3-4 years ago. But they didn't set fire to a police van. So this is like a new level. But what specifically kicked off with the police in Southport? I don't understand.
Go on, Haryan.
Okay. Well, from the video I made, it seemed that obviously they had a big vigil, obviously, for the 3 girls that died and the 8 others that were stabbed. But there was a heavy police presence there, partially because members of the cabinet were there, Yvette Cooper and Keir Starmer, obviously. And then there was also obviously word spread of the arrest of the guy with the knife there. And from what people could tell online, because there was video of his arrest, he once again looked, what was the euphemism I used? He looked like the type of guy you'd see at a Gaza protest, which effectively just meant he looked Muslim.
Uber driver. That's what we call them.
Yes, Uber driver, yeah. Okay, so we've all got our own little bit of code. Again, I'm now hearing that he was actually that was kind of a false flag, that it was just a kind of dark-skinned, kind of white far-right patriot, but I have no idea if that's true. Either way, word gets round that someone tried to stab us. It doesn't to me either, but word gets around that, someone's again tried to stab people in Southport. You know, the police managed to do it, but you got all these angry people who are grieving these 3 girls. And obviously, part of grief is anger, and they just start getting a bit rowdy with the police, and it just escalates and escalates, and then next to a mosque, and that's what gets hit by the collateral damage, along with the obviously the police van they set on fire.
So just kind of all went a bit crazy and got out of control, basically. Who's this guy, the second hung low that's hanging out there?
Oh, that's just a picture of the guy. I'm sharing my screen up, so you.
Oh right.
It
says add to stage. Doesn't you? Is that because am I just having a spastic?
That's just my screen share. Yeah, it's just a picture of the guy. Oh, yeah. That's the guy,
right?
Who allegedly had the knife and was arrested at the scene. And this is what I can really understand this kicking off with local Scousers in the area. If in proximity to the vigil, this guy was discovered to have a knife, and the police were seen to be between the Scousers getting to him, I can imagine.
Well, let's a moment of silence or a salute of respect to the Scousers here. I mean, if anyone was going to kick off, it would be them. Not that we're in favour of violence on this channel. It's very, very bad. And but anyway, I mean, let's look. All this stuff has been happening not only in this country but all over Europe. Who kicked off? Who fought back? Let me think. The Irish, right? Last year, little girl got stabbed in the middle of Dublin, wasn't it? And who's kicking off now? The Scousers. And what are the Scousers? Well, they're half Irish, aren't they? Basically, I mean, the joke being that if you're Irish and you wanted to leave Ireland, obviously you get on a boat, you go to Liverpool, and if you're too lazy to go any further, you just stop there, right? So that's what they have.
That's why they've got the biggest Catholic cathedral.
Yeah, that's what the Scousers are, And I know a lot of Scousers. I've met quite a few Scousers over the years, and they're nice people, very friendly, very family orientated, and they usually have quite tightly knit communities. Actually,
One of the
they're not
interesting things is that they are very anti-police as well. This is another thing. I mean, I'm going just like personal memory of. I lived in Liverpool for like 4 months. That's all, but it was enough to experience some of this culture, and they're called busies in Liverpool because they're busybodies, and
Yeah.
so there is a real deep resentment of policing, and it does kick off. It kicks off in town centres. It kicks off if there's police attending like some kind of domestic. These communities are very quick, can be very quick to boil over. So, like I said, whilst not condoning it, it really didn't surprise me.
Yeah, well, it's just nice to see a strong community, essentially, because I mean, it's interesting because Keir Starmer, obviously, he's made his speech. I don't know if we should play it again. Probably you've all seen it. I don't know if people want to see it again, but he's in that little speech where he said where he's going to be clamping down on everyone in the country, and we need facial recognition to get on a train and all this kind of stuff. He says that you've got groups of people moving around the country, but this is just simply not true. It's not the flipping EDL, it's not the National Front, it's not the BNP, it's not Britain First, it's local Scousers that are upset because their children have been stabbed, and you know, Keir Starmer very dishonestly wants to make out that it's some kind of national group, that's national group of white nationalist terrorists or something.
As reluctant as I am to do this, though, Brutus, I do actually think, I really am reluctant, but I think there might be some nuance to this actual point. Because, I mean, I hate to say it, but I did see a guy in the middle of this chaos with a T-shirt on that said, "Free Sam Melia."
Right.
And
well, you're bound to have a few people like that.
Yeah, I did. I'm not making this up. And this made me think, really, what the heck is going on here? Free Sam Melia, patriotic alternatives in the middle of this. What's going on? And so I did ask myself, is this narrative of like people bussing in to cause trouble actually true? So I'd feel wrong not to raise it, And also, in the middle of one of these things kicking off, the other thing that I heard was, "Hey, Tommy Robinson."
Oh, fucking hell. Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, is this narrative correct?
I think there's some truth to it, definitely. I would, you got to bear in mind, even if you bus in and 10% of the crowd is bussed in, it's only 10% that needs to start the spark to kick it all off.
Yeah.
So that, and if that's what they're stopping, I don't think it's particularly poor of them to do that. The main issue I have isn't that they're dealing with riots; it's that they're only dealing with ones from the native communities. You had Hare Hills, you had Black Lives Matter a few years ago. You've had plenty of unrest, Palestine marches especially. There's been plenty of evidence that they get violent, and I mentioned in the video today as well. Labour MPs have said that this has been the worst election for them ever. They feel intimidated. They felt threatened. There was direct acts of violence with car tyres being slashed, and what does Jess Phillips say? She was certainly one of the people who suffered from this. Oh, it's just that they're men. Despite the fact that we all saw the video of all the Muslim men with the independent who lost, shouting her down when she's trying to give her a victory speech. It's just nonsense. It's again, let's make it clear. I don't have an issue with dealing with riots. I don't like riots. I don't think they get us anywhere. They are criminal. But the fact that they are only being targeted for one specific group, and it happens to be the group that have, quite frankly, done nothing for the past decades is ludicrous.
Do you not think that the government being the way they are, the only thing that they will notice is violence?
Well, that's the other thing. There are legitimate reasons to riot. I don't personally think we're there yet. Am I just saying that just because YouTube and criminal things? I'll leave that to be speculated on.
Right. Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah.
But
yeah. Well, this is a peace and love live stream. I mean, all I will say that there does seem to be a difference between Black Lives Matter rioting and or what have you, like in America, where they just basically, it seems to be an excuse to go looting. And here in England, we've just had probably one of the most violent riots I've in a long time, I think. But nobody went looting. Nobody like smashed anybody's shop up or anything like that. The rage and the anger was very specifically targeted against the police. And it does seem to me that we've turned a corner where the British public are increasingly just seeing that the police appear to be just on the side of the Muslims and the terrorists and the people that are stabbing children and etc. And there does appear to be a two-tier system of policing in the country, and that is where the anger is being directed.
I mean, to bring nuance in again, they were protesting next to a mosque, which did get, I think, a wall got damaged and a car in the car park got damaged. Which I'm trying to compare it to Hare Hills. Hare Hills, they were just gathering all sorts of stuff that they could grab and put it into a big fire in the middle, and they set a bus on fire. I'd argue that was more violent than what was done in Southport. But again, most of the anger seems to just be directed at the police and the mosque attack. If you were really going to go after Muslims, you do a little bit more than tear a wall down where other people's walls were torn down as well, just to get bricks to throw at the police. And one guy who got hit in the head and then the balls. And a car. Like it didn't seem targeted at Muslims. It seemed more that's collateral damage because that's where they were protesting. But obviously the narratives are these idiots heard that it was a Muslim who was going to stab him, and therefore they attacked the mosque. And I didn't. From all the videos you see, or 99% of the videos you see, it's all attacks on the police. Which again, I can't justify either. I'm not saying it's justified, but I can certainly understand the anger.
Yeah, we totally disavow violence on this channel. Somebody's calling us out in the chat saying Subnut's always disavow. Well, I don't know. What do you want us to do? We're on YouTube, mate. So, like, it is what it is. Very, very bad. Very, very just awful. But I don't know, man. Like, it feels to me like we've turned a page in the book, and the next time there's going to be a protest, there's just going to be the people are just like, it seems like the police are now a legitimate target, I suppose, because English people have been angry for a long time, but we are not the type of people that go out and riot and smash shops up and smash up private property. We just don't. That's just not the way that we behave. If things have
rare anyway,
very rare. But if things have taken a turn, and now the British people are legitimately seeing the police themselves as the problem, then now there is something that they can direct their anger towards. I'm not saying this is right or this is good. I'm just commenting on what's happened. Then it thinks, then maybe things are really going to kick off. I don't know.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I'm typically a nothing ever happens type guy, but I do agree. The fact this is because this didn't just spring up in Southport. You had obviously the big enough's enough protest in London, which didn't. A few things were thrown at the police and a flare thrown at Downing Street. Nothing compared to the Palestine protests. And then the police go in and they make a dispersal order, which gives them basically an excuse to arrest absolutely anyone and everyone in the area. And now there are headlines of 100 arrests. I mean, that's pretty clear that they're coming down harder on the far right, if they want to call it that, than anyone else. But also, obviously, you had Hartlepool. You had pretty direct action there, as the leftists say. But then you also had some migrant hotels having protests outside of them yesterday as well. So it's not cool. It's not coordinated at all. The right wing is not very organised, not like the leftists. You don't see like a right wing equivalent of the Socialist Worker with all those banners saying socialistworker.co.uk on it. However, which kind of speaks to me of people are realizing kind of now's the time, and this is probably why there's a bit of an overreaction. Can you call it an overreaction? I don't know. From Keir Starmer with the reaction of his police powers today.
Well, shall we segue into this video though? Because I thought this was quite powerful. Yeah. I know we've all seen it, but
how many more children have died in our streets, Prime Minister? How many more children?
Fucking bell end.
How many more children, Prime Minister? Are we going to do something? Time for change, Starmer. Come on, it's needed. How many more children? Is it mine next?
Fucking bell end.
Bye-bye. Got your photos, off you go. Make a real change, Prime Minister. Make a real change! Our children! Go away!
I just found out my friend's 9-year-old daughter was killed.
Oh, this woman, yeah.
I felt as a child, and you can't do shit. He can't do shit. He's meant to be.
This is the exasperation of the normie. I mean, whilst I was watching that, I was asking myself, well, what is it that they're actually asking him when they're saying it's time for change? Are you going to do something, Prime Minister? Are these people who are saying that? Are they saying, you know, we need these people off our streets? Are they saying we need knives off our streets? Are they conscious of what they're asking for, or is this just the exasperation of the normie? And I fear it's just the latter, you know.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's really quite upsetting actually to watch it. It's like
I do feel that scenes like that of that lady do far more and a stronger message than like seeing people throw bricks at police vans. Though I think if we saw more of that, that would be much more compelling to the average person.
We do not have the privilege of being able to get away with violence the same way leftists and left-wing causes do. You can't get away with a Rochdale. We can't get away with a Hare Hills. So yeah, we have to be more like the lady and just almost bring the problems to them, but not the violence, because that's what that was. And I saw people say Keir Starmer should have gone over to console that lady, and yeah, it looks really bad that he just kind of left her.
Yeah. This meme and this aged well, didn't it? This one, fucking hell, Morgoth.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, but
can we just say
he can't speak to the crowd, does he? He doesn't turn around and speak to the crowd. He just walks in, places his flowers down. He's got the British public who voted for him.
He's lost it.
Saying how many more children, and his response is "fuck you." Turns around and walks off. Basically, I mean, it's just like what the like. At least say something. Like at least turn around to all those parents and the people in the local community and say, we're going to sort this out. So it's anything, you know, but just to say nothing and walk off. Like it's so elitist, you know, it's so, the peasants are upset. Oh, lay my flowers, I get my photo, and then I'm just going to fuck off. You know, it's so, oh my God, he's such a cunt. It's unbelievable. Yeah.
Well, that was another thing the leftists were saying. It's like, oh, why are they heckling him when he's having this somber moment? It's like, because it's not his somber moment. He doesn't know these people.
Yeah.
He's doing
it's
it
a fish out of water moment, wasn't it? It was so stage managed. And I imagine that his minders, like the security around him, knew that moment was so tense and could have kicked off at any minute, and they just wanted him out of there.
Yeah, get in, get out. But it is funny. The left. How dare you make Keir Starmer feel uncomfortable? Like what the fuck? Like forget about the peasants who've just had their children stabbed. Yeah, never mind them. You made our prime minister feel uncomfortable. Like what is wrong with these people?
We're in the honeymoon period of the election. This is the problem. People are still loving this guy. They still think that this guy. The normies who voted for him still believe that this guy is like a Jesus figure. So They really do. I mean, I actually spoke to my boomer neighbour, who's a Labour voter today, and one of the things he said was this: that it was wrong to shout insults at the Prime Minister. And I thought, well,
Right.
I mean, it was actually the right moment to do it. Actually, no, you're wrong. It was actually the perfect moment to do it.
I mean, just now that we're shitting on Morgoth, I thought I'd post this one, but he's absolutely right about this. I'm old enough to remember Jamie Bolger being murdered. I don't know. Do you guys even know this story? But basically, there were two children.
I know of it.
Yeah, they grabbed a young child, took him to the railway track, and then just beat him to death with bricks. And the kids were like 10, and the little boy was like 5 years old or something. And they were just like a pair of nasty little cunts. And they ended up in jail. He ended up getting released. One of the murders got released. I heard the story, like the mother of the child went and found him later, and she just couldn't approach him because she was just too filled with anger. But this was a national scandal, and it was on the news, and everybody talked about it. I remember it, and people were really upset, and there was a deep conversation about it. Like, how were these children raised? How could such a thing happen? Why do we have this kind of violence in our country? And it was discussed, and now we've got kids getting stabbed by a Welsh man, right? A Welsh man from Rwanda, but we've got kids getting stabbed, and the reaction is, oh no, look at these far right racists who burnt down a police van. How dare! Like it's such a shit. It's amazing. Yeah, it really is incredible.
Entirely predictable, though. It's the other side to it.
They just don't want to talk about it. I mean, I don't know. Like, obviously, no, nobody needs to share any doxing information. But like, I went to work. I talked about it. Nobody wanted to talk about it. Nobody. I said, "You hear about those kids getting stabbed?" They didn't want to talk about it.
Well, I'm not shocked people don't want to talk about kids getting stabbed, to be fair.
Well, it's big news. That's big news. I like if there was a terrorist attack. Like I remember, you have news incidents happen, and I remember going to work in the old days, and I remember when they had the flipping. What was the bombing in London? Like that was 2005. Everybody at work talked about it immediately. Everyone was talking about it. There was no shyness. Because we were a united nation. The people were together. We were the English, the British. And it's like these people have attacked us. Now, because we're divided along ethnic and religious lines, nobody wants to talk about it because they don't want to get involved in that struggle. And so they just shrug their shoulders and they're just like, nah, let's talk about the football instead or something. Or
at least the football is somewhat uniting, to be fair. But yeah, I know what you mean.
Well, my boomer neighbour did want to talk about it, and it was unfortunate that his narrative was the narrative that has been programmed into him about it's the idiots who've ruined it. And he said it's that guy, he couldn't name him, but he was talking about Tommy Robinson. He was saying him who's fled the country to Spain after doing that protest in London. He's at fault, and it's Nigel Farage and. They didn't have to insult the Prime Minister, and it's just the idiots now that have ruined it. Why have they got to do that when there's grieving families?
Sorry. Yeah. Yes. So blame the. It's some kind of weird psychology where you blame the victim essentially. Because they can't, because to do any otherwise, you'd have to blame the Prime Minister. They don't want to do that. So it's almost like this Middle Eastern psychology you have, which we talked about like 4 weeks ago with Nick Griffin, right? Remember this? When Nick Griffin, we played the clip, right? Nick Griffin's having a conversation with some Muslim guy, and he's talking about the girls being raped in Rotherham, and he says, well, they were out on the streets. Why weren't their parents protecting them? Where were their fathers? So it's like, I mean, he didn't actually come out and say it, but he's basically almost just saying like it's their fault they were raped. Like how dare you as an English girl walk down the street at night Like you should expect to get raped. Why didn't your father have you locked up at home? Like this is so. I mean, it's a very common thing in Muslim countries, and I don't know, it's like a left-wing psychology or it's some kind of weird dark idea, but it's like, it's your fault, right? It's not our fault, it's your fault. Oh, you're getting violent, you burnt down a cop car, you rioted, it's your fault for being violent. You should just tolerate your children getting stabbed or something. I don't know.
I mean, I can't remember what Nick Griffin said in that. I didn't actually watch it, but I was going to review it because it just seemed mental to me that Nick Griffin, of all people, is holding a hand out to Muslims. But the thing, why weren't the parents there? Well, the parents were probably actually good parents. The problem is that the parents were used to their childhood where they could walk 7 miles from home and everyone would know each other. The police would be trustworthy. Everyone was British, so we don't really have a rape culture like other places do. But then all of a sudden, obviously, you get these issues imported in. You're not ready for it, and then some of the fathers obviously will have been absent, but those that weren't probably wouldn't have heard about it. And then if they did hear about it, I imagine some of them wanted to get revenge, and then found out they couldn't either through the law. Or if they tried to do it the vigilante route, they'd probably get arrested as well. Yeah. So, yeah, it's crazy though. I mean, some blame may be put on the parents. I don't know. You'd have to go case by case, but I'm not going to blame the parents for other people raping their daughter. Obviously, it's the rapist that did wrong there.
It's a funny moral question that does pop up from time to time in various different scenarios, like I don't know, girl gets drunk at party, gets used sexually. Is it her fault, or should she have? And it's like, well, hang on a minute. Like, yeah, she shouldn't have had too much to drink, but that doesn't mean it's right to, use her or whatever, take advantage of her. It's like, I mean, you don't see it very often. But like, let's say you drive your car, you park it outside the newsagents because you want to pop in and get something, and you leave the keys in the car and the engine running. Someone jumps in and steals your car. Is that your fault? Well, the thing is, like 10, 20, 30 years ago, you could do that kind of thing. Now you can't, right? Is it your fault you didn't lock your door at night or whatever? Well, you used to be able to not lock your door, but now you can't. So I think we have to be really, really clear that it's the fault of the person that commits the crime, not the victim.
Yeah. Well,
I think Nick knows this. Nick knows this. I think there's more to it. It's more down to him attempting to build this one struggle alliance with the Muslims. And one of the things that he could go with in that interview is, that you want girls to be like kept in the house, kept in the kitchen, kept under the father's rule, and that, and as like trad Christians, we do too, and we're like, we've got the one struggle on this, and so in that way, I just think he just fumbled it, but he was trying to bridge that commonality.
Yeah, well, I guess that's just what happens when you try and build a commonality with Muslims, But anyway, guys, 38. What are you doing? You playing with your Rubik's Cube or something?
Sorry,
absolutely driving me insane.
That's probably no. Sorry, it's
what?
Just my Xbox controller. I'm so sorry. I am so used to being on Discord that drowns that out.
Oh, does it? Oh, right. You're playing on the Xbox. You got a video game. Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, it's on my yeah. Sorry, it's just in the background. But if it's
Minecraft in the middle of the stream, I mean.
No, yeah, sorry, I don't want to be a killjoy.
No, it's all right. Yeah, no, it's all right. It's all right. I know.
Maybe you wore some gloves while you're doing it or something. I don't know. But,
no, it's stuff I can do. It's all right.
What was I going to say? Yeah, guys, share. I mean, I'm sorry to do the inside video plug, but do click and share the video on Twitter because obviously we're all shadow banned. Shall we watch this, because this is just fucking the guys. I think it's this guy here.
Yeah.
He's literally not. Maybe I'm wrong. Oh, is it not playing? No. Yeah.
god.
He's
just
not.
gets-
Have you not seen this? He's just standing there.
Yeah. I didn't realise it was that quick.
He's just standing there. Push, grab him, He tries to pull
Is
back.
that another
grab
girl?
him,
Is that another
punch?
Is that a female police officer punching him?
Looks like it. Smack, knee him, smack his head in the concrete.
The guy's
just standing there.
Yeah. I imagine they will try and make a case for his resisting arrest by him walking backwards and trying to like flail his hands away from them. But this is the difference between this, because I've been thinking, what's the difference between this and Manchester Airport? He's not trying to knock anyone out. He's not trying to hospitalise anyone. There's no need. This is worse than the kick in the face, I'd argue, because this was 6 separate attempts to. I mean, it's from a woman. It won't hurt him as much, sure, but 6 separate attempts to actually physically assault him, which the police are justified in doing in circumstances. This one, I mean, this is an issue with women on the front line. They overdo it. This is the Sam Hyde thing of, I hope you've got your bulletproof vest. Thankfully, they're not armed in this country.
Yes.
No,
it does look like 2 female officers, doesn't it? To me, it does.
Because they're naturally intimidated, so they've got to just go like full fucking mental.
That might be another reason she did it. She might think it's just her and another woman. And I'm not being funny. Without weaponry, men will take out 2 women, even in that armor. So,
my question is: as the police increasingly are increasingly seen as like basically the enemy of the people, how long will all these people standing in the background tolerate this? Right, this time they just watched him getting grabbed. How long for this guy here and this guy and this guy and this guy just says, do you know what? Fuck off. Do you know what I mean? Not that I'm saying that's a good thing. I'm just commenting. Yeah.
Thing you got to remember as well, we don't know what happened before this. If he's shouting insults at the police and swearing at them, that is actually technically enough to get you done for a public order offence. And they obviously, if they try and help him not get arrested, that's them going to court as well. So there's that issue as well. So to answer your question, I'm not really sure. I think it depends how much they feel like, how much they've got to lose and how willing they are to lose it for, a short-term win.
Yeah.
Well, I'd be careful sharing Olympic footage, dude.
Oh, fuck. Yeah, I'm just scrolling.
Copyright.
Just scroll it. We look at that.
Yeah, I got a stream taken down for showing just a few clips.
Really? Oh, well, whatever. This guy, again, we already talked about him. Lieutenant Colonel Mark Teton, stabbed. Apparently he's still in hospital. Down the memory hole, mate. Sorry. I mean, much respect. But the news has come out, of course, that apparently they're recommending that military people stop wearing their uniforms in public now. Because they'll get stabbed.
I thought that was always a thing. Because I knew people at uni who were in Navy and Army cadets, and they were always told not to wear their uniform in public. So I assumed that was always a thing. And you don't often see people in uniform in public as well. So it's another reason I always assumed it, especially after Lee Rigby.
Shall we watch this, or am I going to get a copyright strike for this as well?
No, this is news. You can play this, I think.
I think you're all right with news, yeah.
I want to thank all of the police officers across the country who have already, as they do so often, stood up to intimidation and violence in the past few days and throughout the summer. And let me be clear, this afternoon was not about pointing the finger of blame. That is not how this government of service conducts its business, because it doesn't work. Rather, this was a meeting to pull together our response both to the immediate challenge, which is clearly driven by far-right hatred, but also all violent disorder that flares up, whatever the apparent cause or motivation. We make no distinction. Crime is crime. And so to that end, I can announce today that following this meeting, we will establish a national capability across police forces to tackle violent disorder. These thugs
Can
are
we just
mobile.
pause it, Brutus?
They move from community to community.
Because he does take. He's making this is. We are not making a distinction, but he is. He didn't do this following the Hare Hills thing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it is clear. I mean, it is obviously a distinction. He's drawing.
Yeah.
It was, and even the speech itself was in response to far-right protests. This is how it was titled.
Yeah.
It's also just interesting that this is the response from the government. Like, I don't know how you can spin this at all, but basically, let's look at the story in a chronological manner. Children get stabbed, and then white people protest, and then the people that protested are now being punished. And there's been a special force which has been created now by the government, essentially, to stop people from getting angry and rioting when children get stabbed. Like, I don't know how anybody in their head can spin this any other way. Like, he's not standing on a stage saying 3 children were killed in Southport, 11 were stabbed, they're injured, this is a horrific crime, and we are going to get to the bottom of this, and we are going to have a thorough crackdown on knife crime, or we're going to go up and down the country. Because this guy was kicked out of school for making genocidal threats and doing stuff with his knives and whatever. He's not saying, oh, we're gonna really deal with this problem. No, the problem is the white man getting angry.
Yeah. Even if it was even if it was like done against knife crime, that would be enough of a euphemism. You know, like against Uber drivers, for instance. Even if it was against knife crime, which he could have done, but he's not. And like I say, he didn't come out and do this against the Hare Hills gypsies who burnt Leeds down.
Yeah, it is so funny seeing leftists saying, "Oh, this is so good for me. He's not doing any finger pointing." What do you mean? This was only finger pointing. He only called out one community or one faction, if you will, and it's not even a faction that really exists. I mean, you've had Vivek Cooper come out and say, "Oh, we need to prescribe the EDL." EDL's not existed for 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's another thing you got to bear in mind. These are not, ultimately, we do not have serious politicians. They're not serious people. They're people who have kind of fallen into their position because all Labour ever really has been, especially since Tony Blair left, is a centre-left pressure group, and neoliberal, if you want to call them that. I don't think that's quite accurate, but it's not been filled with serious people since Blair, really. Starmer was a lawyer, and now he's come out looking like a robot. I think that's the way most people describe him, but they like that because he's not in any way divisive, I guess you can say, unless you're part of the group that traditionally hasn't been able to speak out as much on Twitter and things like that. So, well, YouTube these days as well.
Yeah, let's refinish it because I don't.
And we must have a policing response that can do the same. Shared intelligence, wider deployment of facial recognition technology, and preventative action, criminal behaviour orders to restrict their movements before they can even board a train, in just the same way that we do with football hooligans. And let me also say to large social media companies and those who run them, violent disorder clearly whipped up online, that is also a crime. It's happening on your premises. And the law must be upheld everywhere.
Yeah, Elon.
That is the single most important duty of government. Service rests on security, and we will take all necessary action to keep our streets safe.
Again, it's not the bit I don't particularly like is the facial recognition, but the thing of we're just going to apply what we do with football hooligans to rioters. I'd be fine with that again if I didn't think he was only going to do it to certain people. This isn't going to be universal.
Right, what do we... I've got to play this because it's fucking hilarious.
What is this?
He's Welsh.
It's a Welsh man.
I don't know if you can see the words. Oh. It's pretty good. I really like it. It's a good Welsh song. I even had to Google Magnus Maximus. Anyway. Okay, right, that's enough of that. Sorry, I was quite into that. I thought it was brilliant. That was Callum. Thank you, Callum. He's as Welsh as any of you. Best friend of Lewithan. I don't know. I'm not Welsh. But yeah, the poor Welsh being slandered like this. I mean...
Can we just say, I'd just like to present, I'm just presenting my screen, what an average Welshman actually looks like. So I'm not actually surprised.
How's he so greasy? I don't understand.
He is. Yeah, he is. But, well, I will present it again. What was he saying? Because somebody in the chat was saying he's completely cucked, but we don't know.
Give me 1 second.
Why he's cucked or what he's done or what the reaction is.
He's not still trying to say Starmer's putting woke away, is he?
I didn't watch much of it. Essentially, I think his take was just that protests will lead to nothing. Protests are no good. He always says that protests are no good, and he's suspicious of, who started them.
Right.
Down the wider free speech. Of course. Never let a good crisis go to waste.
Oh, cigars.
So this is
they're not cool when he smokes.
This I think is
imagine the smell. I mean, come on, imagine the smell. What's going on here?
No wonder he's so greasy.
Oh my god.
Thing is, he's greasy, so that tobacco smell is actually going to stick to his skin till he eventually has his monthly shower.
Oh my god!
Can we just say, like, not to just rile an academic agent, but can we point?
No, let's
out
just rile on the academic agent. Let's just do it. No, go on. Sorry.
All right. Well, I mean, his vision of the future under Labour isn't going well, is it? I mean, we are less than a month in now, and we were promised gold. But we're not getting it, are we? It's all falling apart. Keir Starmer's fumbling the ball, something rotten. This is not what we were expecting. Or promised.
Well, it started off like there was the whole thing with Yvette Cooper, and she turned one vote back. I don't know, maybe she was like making a point, or they just wanted to get the headline or something.
No. On that point, we didn't. It wasn't sent back. It was still in French waters. That's been happening forever. If they're caught in the French waters, they do go back to France typically. It's just
right.
Yeah, obviously people heard, we send them back to France. Yeah, new era under Labour. Then the next thing they do, everyone who's already here and on the waiting list. Yeah, basically you're all going to get fast track through. That's fine. You're all approved. Rwanda scheme goes. 10,000 prisoners out of jail. It's like, wow, that's woke really being put away. Nostradamus. People pay this guy. Bear that in mind. People give this man money because they think he has good takes, just to depress everyone.
Yeah, it's kind of.
So
like, Haryan, you and I both have a history, I think, of.
We've all got a history with them. I've got a history with them.
Do you?
What's
yours?
Well, first of all, the latest thing was that he blocked me. Just because
that's just
no, but it goes back. It goes back to 2020 when we were all on the internet. We were talking about Churchill. We were fed up with the whole moustache man thing and blah 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 blah. And people kept because people thought that he would be my ally on my side, but he'd already flipped somehow because he started off quite libertarian and then he kind of like changed. I don't know exactly what happened. I never really followed him, but people kept sending him messages in the chat and saying, you know, you got to talk to Brutus. You got to talk to Brutus. And he basically said, no, I'm not going to talk to Brutus because Brutus was rude to daughter of Albion.
To women. Yes.
Yeah.
I remember that now.
What,
Yeah.
what did you do with DOA?
Well, this is old news now. We're really digging this up. But no, well,
You
essentially,
tell her to open her legs as well.
Essentially, DOA was always on my side with the Churchill thing, and she said that she would make a video about Churchill. She even told me she'd made it, and I was like, "Well, publish it." And she was like, "Well, you know, I don't want to because then people won't like me." And I mean, and I was like, I don't know. We're in the middle of this, like, because I don't know if unless you were there, but at the time there was a lot of energy on the internet. There was a lot of like back and forth and intense discussion. And I was just like, oh, fuck him. I was just pumped, you know. I'm like fighting a war against the alt-right, you know. And I just she just said, oh, I'm not going to. So I just told her to fuck off because I was just annoyed, you know. And that was what happened. Why I was rude, essentially, to DOA and to this guy, this fucking guy, the champion freedom of speech warrior. Basically, just a massive
give over.
He's just like, oh, you were rude to a girl, therefore I won't talk to you. It's just awful. Yeah. So that's my grief with him. What's yours? You want to share? Should we all just share why we fucking hate this guy, Haryan? He was rude to you or something.
Sorry. Yeah, sorry. I just had to open a can for my girlfriend because she can't do it. Again, woman moment. I mean, like with a tin opener, by the way, not like a can of Coke. Me and AA always had like friendly back and forth because obviously he was always more right wing. I was far right, should we say? I don't know. You know what I mean. I was more centre right, but this all boiled over when he started going on about Evler for that like 2 months. And it all came up to Evler Day. And I just found it so uninteresting that I was just bored at work and made the infamous Evler meme with the two soy jacks pointing backwards to Evler. I just posted that on Twitter with no context. And it got like 300 likes. So AA put a block bot on it. So anyone who liked it got blocked. That got about half his unpopular opinions audience kicked out of his chats because they all liked it. That made people lose the internet. That made people break up friendships. That was a nuclear bomb into the distant right. And I was just bored at work.
Yeah.
He then made an hour-long stream about me saying I'm rude and that I ruined Evler Day. And I even sent him a $5 as a super chat in that stream, just saying calm down and have an ale. Here's the money for it.
You ruined my party. Oh my god.
I ruined Evler Day. So, loads of people put loads of work into that. It's like, I don't care. It's fucking boring.
Yeah.
And he's called me a weasel and a Tory boy and all sorts of things since. And every now and then people will let me know that he's talking about me and I'll listen to him and it'll just be blatant lies. Like the most recent one I remember was I did a Laughing at the Guardian stream with I even had someone from his circle on that stream, but we were talking about, like, the title was to do with Gaza and them having an ATIQ army, and obviously AA went full Gaza side. And he was just like, oh, I listened to the first 2 hours, and it was just Haryan going, like, the Gaza army is retarded and deserves to die. Didn't even bring up Gaza for the first 2 hours. I was talking with the guest about his time in Ireland and South Africa. So he just lies about me now, and I just find it so funny, and I ignore all his sycophants. And I mean, even today, when he posted this video on Twitter, I just replied to it with a Simpsons reference of Homer saying, "My God, you're greasy," because that's all I see him as now, just a lol cow. So yeah.
It's always the slander with these people, isn't it? It's always they just make shit up and they throw it around. Yeah. And there you go, you know.
Yeah.
Do you think he changed though? Do you think he changed?
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. When he got kicked out of his job,
that was it.
Something flipped, or he was flipped.
Were either of you in his Discord? Ever?
No,
because that was eye-opening. He always had these people in his Discord who were it ranged from full-on neo-Nazi fash to basically people like me that are centre-right and interested in these, demographic issues along with a load of other issues. When he was starting up and early on when he got his Discord, I joined it to try and get in, and you had to spend a week in kind of a subsection of it, like 2 chats, like a general newcomer chat. And I was asked for about 2 hours straight what I think about a race war in Britain, and a guy was like, "Oh, I hope that." One of the mods was like, "Yeah, I hope there is. I hope the whites win. We need to do this, that, and the other." And I was like, "This is not what I expected from this." But because these were his mods and the people influencing him, I think he always had these influences, but then he just openly went on about it after obviously losing his job. That's when he just flipped the switch and was like, right, I may as well. Basically, he got captured by his audience and it makes him money. So of course he does it. And now they do these, gay meetups to just do these speeches that ultimately get you nowhere. I mean, protest gets you nowhere. Okay, we can argue about that. But you think having these closed, hire a hotel and just do speeches in the middle of, England, does that get you anywhere either? No, it just makes him money.
For £500 a ticket.
£500 a ticket. Where do you think that's going? It's a Ponzi scheme, and I'm amazed people don't realise it. But if they want to waste their money on that, it's fine with me.
Well, he does preach this idea of we need an elite crew, don't we? Which, by the way, is a Evolian idea. If you read, I've only read one Julius Evola book. What's it called? Rage Against the Modern World. But I was very disappointed when I got to the end of it, because his conclusion is everything's messed up, but there will be a select few who will carry the light forward, something like this. So he's essentially just embraced that, and it's like it's some kind of weird nihilism of like, oh, we can't do anything to change the world. Everything's messed up.
He is the elite.
But I am the academic agent. I am the elite. I am the elite. Come to my meeting and give me £500. Basically.
Yeah, pay for my second house in London. Give me £1 million for my, collectively for my book.
It's a very Middle Eastern approach to elite, isn't it? Just scam people. Do you remember his whole idea?
Pay for my courses online that are absolute dog shit.
And don't try and do populism, because populism doesn't work apparently. So just curl up in a ball, get absorbed with reading Julius Evola, get absorbed into your online neo-Nazi cult, and hide, ride the tiger. And hide, essentially.
The irony is, as well, I'll just say this, the irony is that the gatekeepers of entry into this strange, neo-Nazi type fascist cult are a couple of trans women as well.
Oh, really?
Oh, I've got insider knowledge on that.
It's really weird.
Are you talking about DG, the Evelyn?
Well, I don't want to name any names, but
okay, I'll name them. Scrump and Evelyn. Are you talking about?
Yeah.
So they tried their own version of these meetups that AA does, but smaller. I think they called it Nomos. And I went to the first one, and it was Well, I actually put in a speech for to speak at it, because this was back before I realised, they're actually mental. They unironically, Evelyn has made me transphobic. I used to be quite open about it, but I'm like, I just can't deal with them. But the whole idea of the first Nomos was, we want to talk about local community and how you can get involved in it. So I'm like, well, I'll just talk about history of my town and how it was built up with the local community and how my own family has influenced it. They were like, no, we don't want any of that. The speech they had instead were, skyscrapers are shit and the car sucks. Okay. Another one was just someone bringing up Evola half the time. I think that was Evelyn's, actually. Nothing about local community or anything like that. It's just, we need an elite. Evola says so. And it's like, you people are not serious. But then after this whole event where they go to this was done in a private room in a bar, which, by the way, after they started hearing them doing the speeches, the bar staff were really nice at the start and then got really uncomfortable after the first few speeches. Because this is my problem. They just can't be normal. But after all this, did this happen here? I've been out with them a few times, but they basically ended up going to gay bars. Every time I've been out with them in Manchester, they go to gay bars. And that's when I'm like, right,
this is the elite. This is the vanguard that academic agent is creating.
They aren't serious people. Sargon of Akkad said it best to Scrump when he just openly said, "I don't like you." I think he phrased it as you rely on liberalism to live your life, but then between mouthfuls of girl dick, you will say your piece about how it's awful.
Wow.
It was something like that, and
yeah, but these are the capos of Academic Agent Circle, so
yeah, exactly. But and by the way, they're in a poly relationship. That's actually 2 trans women and Scrump. Three people living together, all men, 2 of them pretending to be women. Yeah.
Oh,
so
that's AA's elite. Yeah, that is AA's elite. Yeah.
Just to segue into Nick Fuentes, Dollhouse meetup, only the hot people. I don't know any of it, like Blair. I don't know if you saw it. We were going to talk about this last week, but we didn't. Breaking GNN news. I don't know. This all came out a couple of weeks ago. It's been kind of like NIT is brat coded. I don't understand this new slang word on the internet. Brat. This is like some new kind of like gay slang which people are throwing around the place. But anyway, after declaring he won't vote for Donald Trump, Nick Fuentes has been outed as part of the Dollhouse, a Twitter group chat for trans women and their allies. Nick Fuentes was caught years ago watching trans porn and flirting with trans on various social medias. There's obviously the famous clip of him hanging out with that Catboy guy and they're looking at each other. There's the famous story of the guy that was close to Nick Fuentes, some Indian guy or some brown guy, I don't know, but he's like been sent like trying to groom young teenage boys, and Nick's known about it for a long time and he's done nothing about it. He's also out there just hating on women all the time, but he's never had a girlfriend himself. I mean, like, the guy's young and famous and he doesn't have a girlfriend. I mean, so gays, basically, just gays everywhere.
It is pretty amazing because we have a small community called the Worcester Club. For those who don't know, if you watch my videos, I'll always mention it and say join the Discord. But it's a thing. It's part of the reason that we split off from AA's group, obviously after Evergate. We were just like, the community is just full of weirdos. There's barely anyone normal there. You can't have a normal conversation. You can talk about politics with them and you agree like 80% of the time or something, but then you try and talk about anything normal and you just can't do it. They are just ultimately free. They are the type of people who would be outcasts in society, while at the same time, have you heard it? I know we're going back to Evelyn, but have you heard Evelyn say on Twitter that if they had the Evelyn world, she'd be treated as a god, like they treat trans people as gods in India?
No way.
In ancient times? Yeah.
Hang on, who said that? Who? I missed that.
Evelyn.
Do you know who Evelyn is, Brutus?
I wasn't really listening to your story. I was trying to find that clip because I wanted to have a stab at Nick Fuentes.
Brutus, do you know who Evelyn is?
No, I don't know who Evelyn is. Who's Evelyn?
Okay. I'll share my screen. Shall I?
It's basically one of AA's gatekeepers. One of his favourites, from what I can tell. I imagine she's been invited to his gay lodge.
She is the head capo. He is the head capo. Let's be honest here.
Oh wow! That's so academic agents hanging out with that.
This person has threatened to punch me in the face, by the way, because I called Lennon
the silicon chips will actually set them free.
Sorry, I played it over you. Why?
Yeah. I called Lenin to his face a F slur, and he threatened to punch me in the face, which was very ladylike as he was down in his Guinness. But anyway.
So this is because I don't know anything about that. I'm always the last to hear the gossip. But so this guy's connected to the academic agent. This is like his mod.
This is like this is like the head capo who says, right, he's Scottish and it says that if you're against me, you're out of the movement, okay? I'm the movement. Basically.
Literally got the deepest voice I've ever heard as well, by the way.
That was a good... I'm terrible at Scottish. I wish I could do it because then I could make fun of millennial woes, but I can't. Oh, it's sucker! Oh, this is an upseller! It's fucking spastic when I try to do my Scottish accent. That's all I got. As far as I get.
Close enough.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So here we go. Gay mafia, essentially. I mean, this is the
Yes.
Dissident, right? It's been this way since the beginning. This is famously. I mean, I guess we're having a gossip stream now, but this is why I fell out with Millennial Woes all those years ago. Why did I fall out with Millennial Woes? Because I was making fun out of Greg Johnson, calling him Grinder Greg. And then Millennial Woe says you can't do that. And I've been ostracized ever since. And he thinks there's no gay mafia. But there is. There's a gay mafia. And there's a lot of gays out there.
Well,
I think because they have an identity crisis, because you got to question yourself, am I a homosexual or not? Oh, I don't know. So they have this like introspective identity crisis. And for some of them, somehow this gets mixed in with politics. And so they end up getting drawn to white identitarian movements. And I don't know, they get sucked into politics. And then because of the nature of these people, they're very cliquey and backstabby and they're like, well, they behave like women essentially. And so they get into the movement. They create a mafia, and then anybody criticizes them or disagrees with them, they will get ostracized from the movement, and that's it. That's it. You can look at Millennial. Every year. All of the guests that he has on his show, all of them are totally fine with homosexuality. They have no problem with it. They have no issue with it. They think it's fine. They think it's normal. And if anybody takes a strong stance against it, they will not be invited onto Millennial. And the same goes for, well, probably for the academic age, and probably for all of them. It's the gay mafia, essentially.
Isn't I was going to say, wasn't Millennial Woes caught out for being a sex pervert as well? The whole incident.
Well, he the God Rod. I mean, he's on video saying he had sex with loads of men when he was 17. You know, he's.
Oh, I've seen that. Yeah, I remember that.
So it's like, I mean, I don't want to be like too homophobic here. I've met plenty of gay blokes, and I don't know, man. Like I've worked with, you can't choose who you got to work with. They're, I mean, it's okay. Like whatever. I don't think they're all evil, but they're just they have this nature. They're just cliquey and they're just like women. They're like it's like a woman in a man's body, and they click together, and they don't think rationally. They think emotionally, and it's like they develop this us against them mentality. And if anybody doesn't like them, they'll just spread gossip and try and get them kicked out of the group. And it's like if you let one of them in, then they all come in, and that's it. Your group is gay now. I'm just that's the fact.
Yeah.
That's my experience in the dissident right. So there you go.
I mean, mine's not too. I mean, I couldn't believe the amount of degeneracy that went on when I actually meet them in real life, and just how weird they are. Like there was a guy who turned up at the Nomos event who he turned up in like a trench coat and sunglasses, like he was from the Matrix, and just didn't talk to anyone for ages. Turned out he was actually quite a high profile guy in the distant right on Twitter. I don't. Oh no! Oh, I need to find a meme.
What is this?
Just watch it.
Trying to read as much of the elite theory stuff as I can. A lot of the books are just completely inaccessible and cost a fortune.
Yeah,
which is a shame because they're probably great reads.
Yeah,
that is supposed to be a woman. That's supposed to be a woman with that voice.
Well, be careful, Brutus. I mean, don't be bigoted. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
But
I mean, this is Aizali, a man who he does literally look like a soy jack. Which, to be fair, I look like a soy jack, but still.
Yeah, I mean, at the time, I had a problem with this stream that it was done, in front of the bed in which the deed is done. And I said this at the time, and people were really angry at me for pointing this out. But it was just like in your face on Millennial, like, look, you will accept us or else, and we're going to come on here and we're going to do it like in front of the bed in which the deed is done, and you will accept us, and we will force you to like do it or else. You're out, you're ostracized by Millennial Woes, you're going to be ostracized by Academic Agent, because we are the movement, okay?
Yeah, man. It's just again and again and again with these people. Like, you remember back in the day, like Tommy Robinson hanging out with that gay guy, and then like it turned out that he'd stolen a whole bunch of money, and I don't know, man. It's just the same. It's just endless fucking drama with these people, and I just feel it just kills the vibe. Like, if you've got men together, then naturally, especially if they're white men, naturally they'll start being a little bit macho, a little bit playful, a little bit boisterous, and they'll make fun of women and they'll make fun of gays. Like the place where I work today, everyone just makes fun of gays. Like, oh, you're gay, and it's just like a common insult. And as soon as you put one gay into that group, all of a sudden you're not allowed to make that joke anymore. So if you're like emasculated the whole group, do you know what I mean? And that's the situation with the dissident right. It should be white men, essentially, and I'm just talking in terms of cultural Marxist theory, right? Which is there's a hierarchy. So the old Marxist theory is all about class structure. Cultural Marxist theory is about the victim structure, and essentially, currently we live in a world where the white man is at the bottom. Everyone's allowed to make fun of him. Well, in the dissident right, it should be the white man's at the top, and he's making fun of everyone else. He's making fun of the foreigners. He's making not in a nasty way. We're not advocating for violence or anything bad like this. We're just talking about banter, because you know there is a lot of truth in a joke. But it should be a gang of lads. They're making fun of the gays. They're making fun of the foreigners, and they're making fun of women. That's what it should be. That's the kind of movement that I want to be part of. But Millennial Woe says no. Academic Agent says no. And they pretend to be trad, and then they go and hang out with trannies and invite them into the movement and just screw everything up. And that's why they never get anywhere.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Me. Yeah. I'm a liberal. So look, I'm happy for everybody to do whatever they want. But the problem is, like you say, that these people, when they get into the movements, the thing that they quickly wish to do is to make sure that nobody's going to ostracize them as they seek to ostracize others, and they police it. They're like the ultimate policers, and you can see this with this Evelyn and his boyfriend Scrump, and you know whatever. If there's a third one there, and go on.
No, I was saying maybe we should segue into this. Got talking about it. At some point.
Don't play any video of this.
I'm just showing the images.
Will get taken down.
Oh right.
I didn't actually watch it, but here's a bloke with a beard and boobies, and they were dancing. I don't know what. You watched it, didn't you? So the Smurf with the erection. I actually wanted to ask you about this, Haryan, because you're a Christian, and every people on the internet instantly saying that. Especially this picture here, which you can't really see, but whatever, everyone's seen it. But they were saying they were making fun of the Last Supper. In response, they said, no, it was a different picture called The Birth of Dionysus or something like that. And actually they were trying to appeal.
Dionysus, I think it was. Yeah.
It seems to me like they're quite obviously making fun of the Last Supper. But anyway, I mean, you're the Christians. I mean, like, I just think this is just disgusting. I don't know why they've got to do it. Like, this is supposed to be France. When I'm thinking of France, I'm thinking of beautiful women, the Eiffel Tower, Napoleon, frogs' legs, snails. I don't know, lots of stuff. I don't think about this, but this is the France that they want to show to the world for some reason. Like the entire world is watching, and for some reason, the French government thinks, yeah, let's just show the entire world that France is fucking out of this world, gay and transgender and weird. Right, that's our advertisement to the world. But anyway, what do you think about it?
I mean, I don't really care what the French do. They've always been weird, but I mean, obviously it all just sucked. The Marie Antoinette thing, I just thought it was weird. The Last Supper thing. I mean, my girlfriend was asking me, "Oh, do you think we should like ban that sort of thing?" She's atheist, by the way, and I said, "Well, no, I don't really care about people mocking it because everyone's going to mock all sorts of religions, and you know, Jesus effectively just says if they are trying to mock your insult, you just turn the other cheek. It doesn't matter. You'll win in the long term, and it will happen here. People have tried to like pivot to, oh, the Christians are like going nuts about this. You know, they're saying they'd never do this to Muslims, and then some. I think Dilly Hussein, the guy that Nick Griffin talked to, was like, oh, they're saying the French would never do this. Here's Charlie Hebdo doing it like 3 times. I'm like, wonder why they only did it 3 times.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, obviously, I mean, I'd never approve anything like this. It's an ultimate American cultural victory. This would, I don't think this would happen organically under France if you know, America didn't get so involved in Europe post World War II. It seems completely foreign from what I can tell. Europe is not a place where transgender people really came about. It seems a huge push from America that's done that since the 70s. Obviously, with John Money being the first, and then it's expanding from there.
Well, America. Oh, can you hear me?
I can't hear you. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, my thing's off. Oh, sorry. Yeah, America's not. So yes, America's just spread the gay flag all across the world. I mean, that is. I mean, this is why I'm pro-British Empire, by the way, if any Americans are listening. But when we conquered the world, everything was great. It was known as the Belle Epoque, the Beautiful Age, or the Gilded Age, or you call it Late Victorian or Edwardian Age. But we had beautiful architecture. People wore suits. They got married. They listened to operas, and everything was great. It was essentially a utopian period, and then America took over, and now everything's gay. And then Americans on the internet, they sit there saying, "Oh, look, the British Empire," and it's like, well, your empire is shit. You don't even admit that you have an empire, and the empire that you do have is literally gay. Like all you've done is spread the rainbow flag across the entire world. And before the rainbow flag, it was the sexual revolution. It was the 60s. It was make love, not it was girlfriends and boyfriends, and then it turns into gayness, and now it's just reached rock bottom with essentially just chemically castrating children.
Well, and physically in some and
places. Physically, yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's Mermaids. It is over here, isn't it? The big transgender charity for kids. Yeah, the founder of that flew her 16-year-old son to Thailand to get surgery, and on the irreversible surgery, I guess I'll call it.
Castration. It's castration. Yeah. It's literally like medieval China. I don't know if any of you guys know anything about Chinese history, but there was a whole period of Chinese history where the court in China was run by the eunuchs, basically, because they're very useful servants. You get young boys, you cut their genitals off, it's a eunuch, and somehow or another they sort of like seized control of the empire, basically, and then they were very powerful and totally vicious. And it seems to me
just like Academic Agent Circle, isn't it? Seized control.
Yeah. You know what? Yeah.
Well, if you got no balls, you got nothing to live for, have you? Like, what are you gonna do? You can't have sex. So I don't know, make money and do weird stuff and get power over other people. That's going to be your source of pleasure, isn't it? So it's a perfect servant. It's like it's literally Eastern Europe. Not Eastern Europe. It's Eastern. Like even in the Roman Empire, we had eunuchs, but they didn't like. It was considered to be like a weird Persian thing. It wasn't really ever a European thing. But they throughout history, people have castrated men because they're good servants, and that's what these transgenders are. They're good servants for the state.
Well, it's the same reason we do it to animals, isn't it? Men with testosterone, they're not very good at. They're not easy to control, but obviously I've got a horse that's been castrated, and since he's been castrated, he kicks me less, so that's good. Or tries to kick me less. Well, he has not tried to kick me at all, actually. Yeah, so yeah, makes sense. And well, I mean, it seems when you do it with people, though, they tend to lash out more, probably because we're a little bit different to animals. Yes, the Ottomans did do it too. Well, the Ottomans did it to their slaves because they didn't want any slave kids, which I could make a value-free analysis of that, but I don't want to get that spicy.
Well, I mean, they did it to the blacks. I mean, let's face it. They did it to they got black slaves, and the rule was you have to castrate the men, basically, and that's what they did, generation after generation. So
And making a value-free judgment about it, of course, then they didn't, centuries later, end up with this problem of historical slavery coming to, tell them how oppressive they were.
Well, you were spicy for me, thank you.
Oh no, I did it with a value-free judgment. Of course.
Well, they did all turn brown, though. I mean, like that's my value-free judgment. But I mean, did we talk about this, or did I talk about this with you, Haryan? I can't remember. But there's a Robert Sefer video out there talking about Muhammad and how where he thinks he's from and what have you. But whatever the case, Muhammad had red hair. This is well known because you can go to India. And people dye their hair red in respect for Muhammad. So my argument is, if you look at any man with red hair, they've basically got blue eyes. So the ancient Muslims, Muhammad would have been a white man, basically a Scotsman, for want of another description. Like he was a blue. I don't know if he had blue eyes. Some red-haired men have green eyes. I don't think I've ever seen a Ginger with brown eyes, though. I just can't imagine it in my head. Do you know what I mean? But Muhammad was a Ginger. That's what he was. So he was a white man in the Middle East.
Is this true? You sure?
Yeah, Muhammad had red hair. That's true. 100% true.
I've quickly got this video up, and he does have a whole section where he's just put people with red hair on screen. So I imagine it's relevant at the very least. Yeah.
Yeah, look. I don't know. I mean, Google it. Muhammad had red hair. He was. I mean, obviously, you don't because you don't see any. Gingers with brown eyes? Do you? I've never seen a ginger. Oh, can you see a ginger with brown eyes?
Can't think.
Ginger person with brown eyes. Oh yeah, you can get gingers with brown eyes. Yeah, but they're still white. They're still white. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Aye. Is that ginger, though, if we're looking at the same pictures? Oh, no, that's pretty conclusive. Yeah, fair enough. Still.
I don't know. I mean, you do get gingers with brown. Okay, I was wrong about that. Thank you for correcting me, person in the chat. But I can't see a single ginger that's got brown skin. Put it that way.
No, that one I do agree on.
So, anyway, it's just a theory. I'll throw that out there. So yeah, what do you think, SJJ? Olympic? Oh, you've lost your sound. He's lost his sound.
Oh dear.
You've muted yourself. Okay, he's going to rejoin.
No,
so, shall we talk about the boxer then? Seeing as we're talking about the Olympics now.
Yes.
Again,
yes,
continuing with the gay transgender theme. But I've been advised not to play the video. I've already half played it, so I'm probably going to get struck anyway, but whatever. I mean, essentially, I think this news story broke out today, or maybe it was yesterday. I saw it on Twitter today. Young female boxer, Olympic. She gets into a fight basically with a bloke who failed a sex test twice, whatever that means. And he hits her once, and she quits the fight after 45 seconds. So,
which is understandable because she's getting, absolutely smashed.
Yeah. So, what's my take on this? My take on this is, why? This is really what gets me about this, because this has been going on for some time. My question is, in regard to boxers, like, I could understand if you're a boxer. I mean, maybe you could say something about this, Hong Lo, seeing as you're a kickboxer. But my understanding, like, if you're a competitive kickboxer or a boxer or some kind of martial artist, right? I can sort of understand you keep your mouth shut about this kind of thing if you're competing, because obviously there's a lot of propaganda and blah, blah, and you want to win, right? You're concentrated on your training. You want to win the fight. You don't have time for the politics. Okay. What about the retired boxers? What about Tyson, Lennox Lewis, I cannot give you a list of retired boxers, unfortunately. But there have been a lot. There are a lot of these people out there who are rich, they're famous, they're retired, they're not in the industry anymore. They've got their money. Why doesn't Mike Tyson say something about this? Why doesn't he come out and say, look, men shouldn't be hitting women?
So, I mean, I don't know much about. I don't follow boxing closely, believe it or not. But say Muay Thai, there have been people who've spoken out about it. Namely, like one of the best British Muay Thai guys ever, Liam Harrison, who I look up to greatly. Is one of like Britain's best champions. He is absolutely against it. He regularly tweets against it.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so it's not. I don't think it's as culturally impossible to do so. I'm not sure about the world of boxing. But I mean, even Elon Musk today is tweeting it all out there. I mean, I say even Elon Musk. Obviously, Elon Musk is further along in the Overton window that he's attempting to shift the discourse to. But he's making it acceptable. People are feeling it's more acceptable. I mean, is it so controversial to say that men shouldn't be hitting women?
Whoa,
I don't think it is.
Whoa. Come on.
I mean,
What's the difference?
I mean, call me a bigot, but yeah. I mean, this guy in the Olympics, he didn't have any problems. He wasn't born a hermaphrodite. He was born male. He's not intersex or anything like this.
It's the weird thing with this story. I'm not actually sure, because I'm just on Wikipedia. So it's the International Boxing Association who said that they have proof that they have XY chromosomes and therefore are excluded from the sport. But being transgender obviously is illegal in Algeria. And so either she's very, very good at hiding her biological sex in Algeria, she is a intersex person, but apparently it says she's not. I don't know if that's because she's hiding it because there'll be complications in Algeria. I don't know. But either way, I think if the Boxing Association has proof that she's a man with the XY chromosome, then yeah, don't let her box. But it's hard to say beyond that because obviously Olympics haven't done a test on it, but have accepted it because they're wusses.
Yeah, I don't know the details of the particular case. I should have looked them up beforehand, but from what I gather on the grapevine is that this character has actually failed numerous sex tests in the past. So
yeah, it's everything around it that's making me question it though, because when I was like, hang on, trans from Algeria, how does that work? Looked it up. You can't be transgender in Algeria. I was like, what the hell? How has that worked at all?
Yeah, that is strange. But I mean, just look at the guy or lady or whatever we're calling him. I mean, you can tell he's so much taller, bigger.
Yeah. Physically, looks like a man to me.
There's no doubt.
Yeah. So I just don't understand. As I said, I was making the point with the boxers, but it's just I don't understand why more of these people don't like more like ex-sportsmen, ex-football players, all of these. I don't follow sports, so it's difficult for me to list all the names. But we all know there's all these like famous people out there. They're sports stars. Their careers are over. They're in retirement, but they're still famous. Why don't they sort this out? Why don't they step in? I mean, maybe you don't want to be political, fine, but you're destroying all of these sports, all of women's sports, completely wrecked. You'd think all of the famous sports women would just be out there screeching about it. Like, imagine how many, I don't know, famous ex-tennis players or whatever out there, you know, they've won Wimbledon or what have. I just don't understand why there hasn't been more of a backlash, I suppose, is all I'm saying. So,
can we just, before we move on, look at the irony of the name here? I honestly think there's something crazy that goes on with names. He's literally called I-Man.
Oh, man.
It's a common Arabic name for girls, to be fair. But
But
I
I
know
mean,
what you mean. There is an irony to it. Yeah.
Right. Shall we watch this for a bit of a laugh? Right? It's this great masculine hero.
We're transsexuals. Guys, I believe most of you are Christians. I'm a Muslim. Yes, this is Romania, supposed to be the most Christian country in Europe. You cannot allow them to desecrate something as important as the Last Supper with transsexuals and little children, pedophilia. There has to be a point you stand up for your beliefs. If you have something in life and you don't stand up for it, it will not last. If you have a house, you don't maintain it, it will fall down. Business, you don't work, it's gone. Relationship, you don't take care of her, she'll leave you. It's the same with religion. If you Christians don't start standing up for things, when they mock you publicly and openly, you'll have no religion left. It doesn't matter, it's a matter of time. Especially now, Romania and all these other countries have opened the border. Millions of people who come here are not Christian. And if you don't say, this is a Christian country and we respect Christianity, they won't respect it either. It's the end. And it's the man's job. It's the job of men to defend things. This is what a man is supposed to do. It's man and woman for a reason, but the man is a fighter. The men have to stand up and fight against these things. Guys, this is supposed to be the most Christian country in Europe. When they try this crap again, I expect to see you all at the next embassy, wherever it is. Thank you, guys.
Well, what a rousing speech by our new hero, savior of Christian.
I am very happy that a Muslim is telling me how I should act like a Christian. That makes me happy.
Oh, dude, it's just so funny. This fucking guy, dude. Yeah, such a great Christian that he converted to Islam. Like, how do people? What?
Why is he trying to proselytize? I don't get it. Why is he trying to proselytize as a Muslim?
It's grifting.
People to
Grifting.
Well, obviously it's grifting, yeah. But I mean, I don't believe he ever converted. There's no way he prays 5 times a day. How too many prostitutes?
Yeah, I mean, I wish I could dig it up. Have we all seen the video of him talking about having sex with a transgender? We've all seen that one. You not seen that one?
No.
Yeah, I've got it. Do you want to see it? I've got it.
Yeah, go on, show it. Yeah, let's fucking rip on Andrew Tate.
Yeah.
But there's the video of him. Well, we'll see it in a minute. But, oh, you got it. Oh, that was quick. Jesus Christ,
yeah,
mate, you are on it. Like, what the fuck?
He's got a whole folder against transgender people.
It's not true.
Boom.
Asking, would you rather have sex with a transsexual, which is a legitimate 10, or a woman, which is a legitimate 1? And everyone's sitting there clicking woman, 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 because they think they're going to be gay if they do anything else, but they're not actually thinking about the question. I am so smart. I operate on so many levels higher than the average man. You people are not thinking about the question. When I say a 1 and a 10, I mean Megan Fox with a dick. That's the tranny. Or Hulk Hogan with a pussy. That's the girl. This is the question I'm asking. Megan Fox or Hulk Hogan? So you're thinking, well, I don't want to be gay, so I just clicked the girl, the number 1, did it? You're gonna fuck Hulk Hogan? I feel like there's a pussy, but he's got mustache and muscles and shit.
Okay, he has a pussy is the best line. That is the best line of it. Like, he undermined his own point. He undermined his own point as soon as he started it. Amazing.
Man, it's just...
This is the leader of the manosphere right here.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. It's the gay mafia. I'm fucking serious. It's just again and again and again with these people. Yeah, I mean, for clarity's sake, no, I guess I'd go for Hulk Hogan. I mean, I wouldn't go for either, but like, just it's literally ladyboy, isn't it? Like, just have sex with the ladyboy because it's got a nice pair of tits. Like, no, actually, no, thank you very much. But how does he get away with it? Like, how does he put this stuff out on the internet? It's there for the whole world to see. And then he's still in the news cycle. He's still famous. He does the interview with Tucker Carlson. He does the interview with Alex Jones. He's still the top G. Everybody's talking about him. Like, why? How do they manage to put this stuff out there and it doesn't just drag them down and destroy them? It's amazing. Do you know what I mean?
He seems like to me, he seems like the only people that like certain Gen Z boys care to listen to, because I imagine because he's fit, young, young and healthy, and then talking about issues that they are kind of noticing. And then obviously, because his videos do have good production value as well. Like even that video where he's on a rooftop talking nonsense about fucking Hulk Hogan, still a pretty good, like it's a good quality camera, good quality microphone. And people are going to listen to him while he talks about fucking Megan Fox or Hulk Hogan. That's why. But yeah, and I don't know. I mean, obviously, they're all here because Andrew Tate actually was one of the people spreading misinformation about the guy who stabbed the 3 girls as being a Muslim.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, this is a problem. A lot of people will have heard that. A lot of Gen Z boys who are clearly rejecting modernity will have heard that as well. So he'll be a person that they go after, Starmer.
Do you think there's a conspiracy? I mean, I'm asking you as a Christian, do you think there's like some Islamic conspiracy to present Muslims as alpha males, right? Because now we obviously live in this age of feminism, and a lot of men are just, we're crushed, we're beaten down, right? And then along comes alpha male Muslim bro, and a whole bunch of others who I don't know their names, but you see them on YouTube all over. And then young men start to think, oh, if I convert to Islam, I'll be a real man again, or something like this.
I don't think there's like a pre-planned conspiracy. I imagine it's just more of an opportunism from Muslims that are rejecting the Western culture that we all reject. Like, oh look, all these young boys are rejecting Western culture, right? Well, come follow us then. More opportunistic than an actual conspiracy. But even then, it appears that when these Muslim men are doing it, they're not being good Muslims like Andrew Tate. So,
yeah,
because I've noticed, because I go on TikTok every now and then, because I've got a girlfriend. But I notice there are people on TikTok live that are there are Muslims that do lives on it that say things like, why do Christians follow a Muslim man who was obviously Jesus, or things along those lines. Like they are trying to undermine Christianity quite clearly on TikTok by saying, oh, it's actually all Muslim. Jesus wasn't a Christian, despite the fact that the Bible is literally a second-hand account of Jesus Christ, the 4 Gospels. And the Quran is like 600 years later, and retconning it essentially. It's total nonsense. But there are certainly people trying to do that, but I don't think it's any like particular liberal elites trying to push that. I think liberal elites are starting to see the issue, but they're not willing to say what the issue is with Muslims. But I mean, how can they say it after this election, for God's sake? But,
yeah.
Now carry on.
What do you think about what Rogue Trader is saying here? Because I mean, this is a thing which I don't know why we're talking about gays so much in this stream, but anyway, this is the way it's going, I suppose. But I guess it's just reaction to the Olympics, isn't it, and AA and whatever. But anyway, because we got a Zoomer here. What are you, Haryan? You millennial?
I am one of those elder Zoomers. So I'm in '96. So depending who you ask, I'm either millennial or Zoomer. I identify more with the Zoomers, I'd say, because I hate millennials.
So you're so I'm Gen X, sat down with 2 Zoomers, right? So I've got to play the dad role. Okay, so okay, son. So here it is. Back in my day, people did not used to do anal
your dad
sex.
won't ask you this question, surely. I mean, come on.
Well, they did not used to sodomize women. It was not a thing. It never happened. Nobody boasted about it. Nobody bragged about it. But now, for some reason, it seems to have become part of culture.
It's porn. It's porn that's created this phenomenon.
It's porn in the American Empire again.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. You watch any porn, and I know loads of it.
I've never done that in my life. Never done it in my life, so I don't know what you mean.
But so much of it is now this type of porn.
Yeah.
And if anything, if there's a conspiracy at all, it's that. I think, like, to do that. I mean, why they're doing that, I don't know.
it seems like a dominance thing, isn't it? It's just like it's a power thing, isn't it? Because obviously the woman doesn't experience any pleasure from it, so it's just a case of the man saying, you are my slave, you will obey me, basically. That's all it is. So
I think we can all agree that, I think we can all agree with Rogue Trader.
Yeah, well, I mean, some people don't. Some people think it's fine. So I just thought I'd raise the question. That's all. I just, it's a weird cultural phenomenon that's occurred. I don't think it's good. I don't think it's healthy. I think women should push back at it. I don't know why they go along with it. There's no such thing as an anal clitoris. Like, I'm just like, what? Just tell your boyfriend to fuck off, basically. I've been pushing the meme. I've been pushing the meme, or trying to push the meme for some time now. That because if you want to fight a cultural war, you got to get down in the gutter, right? And you got to get to the nitty gritty. I've been saying no. I'm gonna throw this out there. I'm gonna keep saying it on the internet.
I mean, on this topic though, saying get in the nitty gritty, get in the gutter. On this topic of anal,
and that you're going to push back on it.
I am going to push back in it. I'm going to say if you're a man and you're into anal, it's because you've got a small dick. Bush.
Oh,
okay.
Nice.
Yeah, you got a small fucking dick, mate. Because if you had a big cock, then she wouldn't want it rammed up her bum, would she?
What a turn this stream's taken.
No, I'm sorry, but there needs to be some pushback.
Totally not gay stream.
Against these blokes running around the place being, oh yeah, I fucking did anal on my girlfriend. Next time you're at work and somebody says that, say, oh yeah, it's because you got a small dick. You know,
can we be honest? Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. You would have to do, because otherwise you're gonna cause like serious bodily harm. I mean, what is going on? I mean, if you're doing this to a woman, you are, putting her in incredible risk. Unless you do have a little tadpole, I imagine. This is something that people should not be doing. I mean, nobody should be doing this, gays or straights.
It's in the Bible,
Yeah. So,
I mean, you become anally incontinent from doing it. These people end up wearing nappies in their old age. Stop doing it.
You guys ever
against anal? That's why I say. Carry on.
Yeah.
Gone.
I don't know, man. This stream's got really dark.
I got the joke the first time.
Yeah. I don't know why. I don't know how it's got so dark. I mean, let's just like Churchill said, "When in hell, just keep going." What do you think about what do you think about the worm pill? Have you guys ever heard about the worm pill?
I have not heard about the worm pill.
The parasite pill, otherwise known as.
Oh man, this is the thing. Like, I saw this on 4chan like 4 years ago, and I browse 4chan every couple of days or every week. I haven't seen it since. This has been memory hold even on 4chan. But essentially, there used to be a regular post on 4chan. Some guy used to post about something called the worm pill. The idea being that if you have parasites inside you, they can force you to do crazy things. Examples of this are mice. They get parasites inside them, and they're no longer afraid of the smell of cats. So they end up getting eaten by the cat, right? And this works for the parasite because the parasite wants to be inside the cat's stomach. So they trick the mouse into thinking like this. There's also another animal, I think it's a cricket or some other animal. They force the animal to, they give the animal the desire to jump into the pond and to drown because the parasite wants to be in the pond. So essentially, parasites in nature can have a powerful psychological effect on creatures. And there's a video that used to be posted on 4chan under the title Worm Pill. I haven't seen it in years, but I always remember it. And it's a video of a gay person. And basically, this guy, for whatever reason, health reasons, he did a parasite cleanse. And then all of his homosexual desires disappeared. And this guy... He said that he just had like gay porn in his head all the time. Like he was just thinking about gay sex, right? All the fucking time. So he just thought, I'm gay. I should have sex with men because I'm always thinking about it. So therefore that's what I should do, right? which is understandable, I suppose.
I can see the logic.
Yeah. But then for these health reasons, he did the parasite cleanse, and he just had all the desire to engage in that activity just disappeared. And he's just, there's a video about it on YouTube. I don't know if I can find it, but he basically says that that was it. The desire disappeared, and so he thinks that the parasites were making him want to sodomize other men, because obviously you're putting your penis into an anus and there's poo there and it's really messy and it's really bad. So essentially this is getting really gross. I don't know why, but whatever. But essentially the idea is that the whole gay thing, or a big part of the gay thing, I mean, there's a lot of reasons for gay sex. I don't know, it's a complicated question, but a lot of the reasons, one of the big reasons for it may just be parasites.
Possibly. I mean, there's certainly parasites inside you. Definitely do change the way you behave. There's no doubt about that. Why?
Yeah.
Could that make you gay? Maybe. I don't know. It is something that I'd have to look into more. I have to say though, I did search the worm pill on Twitter, and the first thing I got was one of those iceberg memes, and right at the bottom it just says Jesus knew about the worm pill, Hitler knew about the worm pill, Alex Jones knows about the worm pill.
Yeah,
some
dude.
people are immune.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
the worm pill's deep, bro.
Yeah, I will say though, another 4chan meme says to avoid this, 3 garlic cloves first thing in the morning and then turmeric in the evening after dinner will apparently get rid of the worm pill. That comes straight from horses. That's what I feed my horses to help deworm them. I have to say, I've never seen gay horses, but they're wormed all the time. So it just helps the hypothesis.
Well, the argument is that all mammals, like all pets, I don't have any pets, so I've never done this, but apparently if you got a pet, you got to kill the parasites every now and again. You got to deworm them all the time.
Yeah, they get wormed like once a year, something like that.
Yeah. So humans don't do this for some reason. So the argument, I mean, the homosexual question is the biggest, most obvious issue here. But the argument is that liberalism itself, right? This is actually quite deep, is being driven forward by worms, by parasites. You know,
it's like that Futurama episode where the worms end up in Fry's brain. But that's just the modern world, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, like go and live in the city and have lots of unprotected sex with lots of men or women and spread the diseases, spread the parasites, right?
Well, it is quite interesting as well because I think God's own prototype is given alternatives, which I don't think worms are making people gay necessarily. But I was thinking like something that really does turn people to homosexuality is if they do have a homosexual experience.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like the Stone Toss comic. It's like, why did you choose to be gay? I didn't, because he got molested. Is the implication in one of the panels. But then I don't know if either of you you probably don't have Netflix, and I don't blame you, but I've not seen it. But Baby Reindeer, that show that was talked about everywhere. Apparently, one of the episodes is about him being sexually assaulted by a guy in some production company.
Hang on.
He starts questioning his sexuality.
Is that there's a stand-up comic and there's a fat lady that follows him around? Right, yeah, I saw the advert for it.
Yeah, and then but there's one episode about him being sexually assaulted by a man in a production company, like a producer, and then after that he starts being bisexual, or at least bi-curious, and it's like, maybe he gave him the worm.
It's definitely
literally.
There's definitely going to be multiple causes. I don't know, man. Like I've never really talked about it on the internet. I've always been meaning to make a video about it, but ever since I watched that 4chan post on the worm pill, it's been stuck in my mind that you've just got these parasites sitting in people's stomachs, forcing them to do weird things. And if you look at all ancient religions, they all recommend fasting and cleansing, essentially. And obviously with modern medicine, people don't recommend these things anymore. We live in the age of allopathic medicine, and maybe that's one reason why everyone's flipping crazy these days. I really don't know.
Look, there may be something to it. Can I just give a word of warning, though?
Yeah.
I have also seen some of these memes, some of this stuff about this parasite pill go around 4chan. And, right, be careful if anybody, like, thinks, like, some of you out there might not be gay, but you might think, well, I might have parasites. I'm going to go and do the parasite cleanse. And I want you to be... I want you to be careful, because there are people who post this stuff on 4chan with like a deadly concoction because they want the gays to go and take it, and then bad things happen to them. So be careful out there, okay? Don't just go on 4chan and take some cocktail that some like schizo poster has told you to take because it will cleanse parasites. Be extremely, careful about what you choose to do.
Just do the garlic and turmeric thing. That's probably the best thing you can do, because it does help get rid of worms.
But also, I do have some like first-hand evidence here, because during COVID, I actually was one of the schizos who took ivermectin, and I haven't thought about bumming anybody ever since.
I'm telling you, there's something to this hypothesis.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Oh jeez. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know why this conversation went down such a fucking...
Right, what other gay subjects can we talk about?
What about the black hole? The black hole, the 20 billion black hole.
Yeah, let's talk about economics. Yeah, so
yeah.
Go on then. Yeah, tell us
gay.
that story. Have you got something to share on screen? Because you're the chief screen share. No, okay, all right. Well, anyway, so tell us about the black hole then.
Well,
What
so
is
the
going
Labour
on?
Party have come. The Labour Party have come into power. Obviously, everybody knows this, and Rachel Reeves has declared that upon examination of the finances, there is, I forget what she said, 22 billion or 23 billion pounds black hole in the finances. From my understanding, Jeremy Hunt refutes this. He says this is actually, for one, that Rachel Reeves had full access to like the Treasury beforehand, so she couldn't have been surprised about this. And two, that the black hole is a product of their choice to scrap the Rwanda scheme, therefore having to excess payments to pay on asylum bills going forward over the next few years, whereas the Conservatives would have saved money on that. They've chosen to scrap the Rwanda scheme after basically all the money's been spent, so they're not going to reap any of the savings, and their choice to offer generous public pay sector pay rises. So the Conservatives say, no, we didn't leave you with a black hole. It's your spending choices that have got you into this mess, and you've had full access to the information, and now there's a debate on the issue. But basically, what this means is that Rachel Reeves, when she does her budget in October, she's setting you up for the fact that, wait for this, I know you're all going to be shocked, she's going to raise your taxes.
Wow. Yeah. Penny Mordaunt wasn't lying.
Yeah. What a surprise. If only Liz Truss had stayed in power. I was on Liz Truss' team.
Yeah,
So are you, Haryan. Nobody listened to us.
No, I know. Well, I was going to say there's another level to this 22 billion black hole, because they keep trying to say it was Liz Truss's mini budget that caused the issue. Well, actually, this is currently being debunked by the Bank of England themselves. They came out with a report this week that it's all very complicated, but long story short, it was their own failure to regulate where pension funds put the money into these risky LDIs, they're called. You don't need to know what they are. They're just a risky investment. And because they're all put in that, that's actually what caused bigger economic turmoil, because obviously when there's a bit of a change in the market situations, like with Liz Truss's budget, then your risky assets haven't paid off and you lose a load of money. You need to inject a load of gilt into the market to keep quantitative easing going. It's all very complicated. Basically, 2/3 of the reason we had that economic turmoil around the mini budget was directly as a result of the Bank of England's poor handling of pension fund investments. And they've come out and said that, but no one's talking about it because it's not helpful to anyone and they don't care about the truth. They just care about winning, obviously. So yeah, Liz Truss vindicated by the Bank of England themselves after she's had a go at them for 2 years, which is fair enough.
After she wrote a book about it.
Mm-hmm.
And have you read it? Have you?
I've read it. Yeah. It's mostly just kind of memoirs of her time in as a minister and as prime minister.
Yeah.
And then the last bit's all about how we can save the West, and it's 5 different points effectively of things that we generally agree on, but they're quite normie friendly. So I can't remember what they are off the top of my head. It's basically be more conservative, bring democracy, have democracy actually mean democracy, and when people vote to get rid of, bring immigration down to 10,000, actually do it. Things like that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I haven't talked to you at all, Haryan, about the election, but you supported. You voted for reform, didn't you, or did you not? I forget.
Yeah, no, I did vote reform. I was juggling between Tories and reform.
Yeah,
because there was a reason to keep Labour out, as we've clearly seen. The problem is, as well, the Tories haven't been much better for 14 years, though. We'll just end up in this position, but 2, 3, 4 years down the line. So what's the point? So yeah, and then Farage was just impressing me, and then Tice was growing on me as well. Yeah. And Lee Anderson went over. He was a good Tory MP, and I just thought, what if I got to lose? Really, I'd rather their vote share get bigger, because this was always, I'm in an area that was always going to turn Labour anyway. So yeah,
right.
So,
I think
and then Labour, and then actually Reform came second in my area, so I might join Reform now and see if candidacy is available.
Yeah. I think us three all pretty much in agreement on this subject matter. Pro-reform, fed up with the dissident right, just like this whole AA Morgoth attitude of vote for Labour to destroy the Tory party. I mean, it was all completely insane. Yeah, but and I was planning to vote Tory because the Reform didn't have a chance. So was SJJ. But then, of course, Farage stepped in, voted for Farage, and now we've got a Labour government, and now they're going to crack down on us. But I don't know, man. It feels like it feels. I don't regret it, actually. I don't regret it at all, because to be honest, the Tories had no chance of winning, and by voting for reform, as you say, like in your area, they didn't win, but they did come second, and that is significant because people will remember that, so that when the next election comes round, it's like, well, now a vote for the Tory party is a vote for Labour, basically.
Well, the way they're reacting to all this recent stuff as well, they seem to be the only ones trying to keep focus on the fact 3 girls have died.
Yeah.
Keep focus on the fact that it's all falling apart. Keep focus on the fact that it's the police do need to do a job when there's violence, sure. But then when they're not doing their job, people get really annoyed, pissed off, and as we see in all over Britain at the moment. Anyway, you can move on to Trump now, a much less gay topic.
I just thought we'd cover that point. But shall we look at this? Are you eating your dinner? I'm not complaining. I just think it's quite funny. No, it's fine. I just think it's hilarious. That's all.
No, my girlfriend cooked it. It's chilly for those interested.
By the way, I was just going to say, Nigel Farage has just released a statement. If you want, it's only a minute long. If you want to watch it.
Yeah, go on. Is this in regards to the stabbings? Is this breaking news? Okay.
It's a response to Keir Starmer, 1 minute long.
Okay. So the Prime Minister tonight reacting to what has happened over the course of the last 48 hours. His conclusion, very simple, it's all the far right. As if they're causing all of the problems. No, the far right are a reaction to fear, to discomfort, to unease that is out there shared by tens of millions of people. Let me be clear. I don't support street violence. I don't support thuggery in any way at all. But I'm worried, not just about the events in Southport, but about societal decline that is happening in our country. Law and order, folks, on our streets is breaking down. This Prime Minister hasn't got an earthly clue how to deal with it. We need to start getting tough. We need to use stop and search, regardless of the colour of the skin of anyone that gets stopped. We need tougher prison sentences for anybody carrying a knife. We need folks to get real. Because I tell you what, what you've seen on the streets of Hartlepool, of London, of Southport is nothing to what could happen over the course of the next few weeks. Let's have proper law and order. But Mr. Starmer, just to blame a few far-right thugs to say that's the root of our problems doesn't work.
Yeah, spot on, Farage. I mean, my only complaint would be that he should have said 3 little girls have been stabbed. Like, I don't want that to get memory hold, but nonetheless,
well, hang on,
knife crime.
You kind of memory hold it already. No, 3 girls died, 11 got stabbed.
Yeah,
it's way worse than that.
Yeah, 3 died, 11 stabbed, but he's absolutely right. I mean, the reaction to this Keir Starmer should have come out and said, we need to crack down on knife crime. That should have been the reaction. And instead he says, we need to crack down on angry fathers upset that their children have been murdered. But that's what I voted for. That, and I'm happy I voted for it. And yeah, it sucks we got a Labour government, but we had to do what we did, and we've got the opposition that we wanted. And there you go.
Right.
The only thing now, I mean, is, well, this is what I've been pushing for, but people need to join Reform. We need to turn it into a 1 million man I shouldn't use the word army, a 1 million man party. And we need to win in the local elections. Essentially, we need 5 years of winning all the council seats all around the country, and then we need to take the country back in 2029. Basically, that's got to be the focus now. That has to be the plan. People need to stop being doomers and saying it's all over, we can't win, blah 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 blah. No, it's like, no, this is the plan,
the tiger, bro.
Yeah, ride the tiger, smoke your cigar, and listen to AA. No, this is the plan. Reform, reform, reform. Like, it's upsetting to see Richard Tice block Sargon of Akkad on Twitter. I don't know why he did it. I mean, some people maybe say a few cucked things here and there. Doesn't matter. That is our only chance. Don't let perfection be the enemy of good. Join Reform, turn it into a big party, and win in 2029.
I kind of hate to say it. I think blocking Sargon is actually a good move, because Sargon is electoral kryptonite. He is. You do not want that guy on your side. I mean, it's stupid to try and blame the death of UKIP on only on Sargon, but he didn't exactly help. His problem is that he's very good these days. He's very good with his philosophy. He's very good with his speech writing. Unfortunately, he's not the type of person that can cut ties with people like Tommy Robinson and things like that, and he obviously has a history that's always going to be dragged with him. I can understand Reform wanting to get away from that, unfortunately. Just the reality of the situation, I'm afraid. I love Carl, I do, but electoral suicide with him, I'm afraid.
Yeah, let's not even mention the cigars. I mean,
the cigars, I think, are one of the best things about him personally. But want to talk about gay things? Let's talk about SJJ's take on cigars. He doesn't like.
Yeah, come on then. Well, let's do it. This was supposed to be the cigar stream. So, what is your problem, Hong Lo?
Shall we tell everybody? I got Carl's attention this week. I didn't expect it, by the way. I didn't realize that he probably looks at the people who quote tweet him. Like, hundreds of people quote tweet him. So he was just doing a video. Smoke.
I'll share it. Go on, you tell the story. I'll find it. Go on, you tell the story.
It was a nothing burger. It was a nothing burger, really. He's doing this video post the Tommy Robinson march, saying, "Well done, lads. We had a great day." But he's huffing on this cigar, and I just quote tweeted it and said, "What is with these cigars? Do Gen Xers realise how much they stink?" or whatever? And I said it's hard to get behind anybody, to stand behind anybody who smells this bad, or something like that. And yeah, he replied, "What is it with What did he say? What is it with Zoomers these days?" I don't have the tweet in front of me. Hold on.
You said, what is it with Zoomer? No, go on. Sorry.
He rephrased it. He rephrased it back at me. Yeah. Do Zoomers realise that there is? Yeah. Do Zoomers realise that there is dignity in being someone who makes decisions for themselves without resorting to feminine consensus considerations? I like cigars, and I don't care about your opinion about it. You've been trained to think like a woman.
Based. Yeah, that's you told.
So, now, if anybody has been put on blast by Sargon of Akkad before, what you get are hundreds, and I mean, it must be 100 or 150 people at least, instantly in your replies, just calling you a dickhead, calling you a knob, a woman. They look at my avatar and think that's me and mock it, and all these kinds of stuff. So.
Yeah, you did. You got rolled, and I replied to you before he even quote tweeted you. I just said cigars are cool, and you got ratioed.
You got wrecked by Sargon, mate. I mean, I've been
obviously I did. He's
legendary.
He's got like 100,000 followers, and I've got 200.
I felt like I should have stuck up with you, but unfortunately, I agreed with Sargon. So I mean,
oh yeah,
once like if a man wants to smoke a cigar, he can smoke a cigar. If a man wants to smoke a cigarette, he can smoke a cigarette. I don't know. This has been part of our culture for. Was it Walter Riley who brought it over? I think it was.
Well,
wasn't it? About 500 years. You know. So
it's exactly. It's not that long. It's not that long. People who say it's like an ancient tradition, they're wrong. It came from the Americas. It was actually tobacco was allegedly first brought back to Europe by, value-free judgment here, but by a Jewish guy who was on Christopher Columbus's expedition, who brought it back and introduced it to Europe, and then over the course of the next 100 years, it gradually, people started to get addicted. The tobacco trade was, grew rampant through addiction and stuff, and then out to the masses. So only like 300 or 400 years here we're talking about the fact that people have been smoking tobacco.
Right.
And obviously, as a Zoomer, and I come from the vape generation. I don't vape, I don't smoke, but that's mainly due to life choices of ending up in sports, and so I make the point. I'm the only trad left in the movement. I'm the only straight edge guy who doesn't take drugs. I don't drink. I don't smoke.
Oh my
God. So occasionally,
you're so boring. Jesus Christ.
I've been a kickboxer for the last decade, so come on, you've got to let me off.
I've done kickboxers that drink.
Yeah.
Andrew Tate, great example. He's a kickboxer. He smokes and drinks.
Yeah. Well, he wasn't a very good one, to be fair.
Still. Well, he was better than me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't know. The drug question, I mean, should it be allowed back in the pubs or not? I remember going to the pubs in the 90s, and I remember you go out, you have a few beers, you wake up the next day, and essentially your hair would just stink of smoke, and you'd have to take a shower and wash it out. And that just happened basically every time you'd go out. And that doesn't happen anymore. But then again, I'm not really. I don't really know if that makes it better or not. I did see a study came out. In fact, I think James Dellingpole shared this in his book. In his book, what's it called? The global warming book that he did, Watermelons. He just talked about how people ignore science and just go with popular opinion. But there was a scientific study, apparently, which proved that passive smoking really doesn't do you any harm at all. So you can be in a room full of people that are smoking, and it's really not going to affect you at all.
Yeah, so secondhand smoking is effectively nonsense from what I've read into it, especially in the recent studies.
Yeah, so I don't really have a problem with people smoking in pubs. I don't really have a problem with people smoking. and
They do stink, though. I mean, let's be honest. If you're a non-smoker, this is just an objective fact now. It's so much rarer than it used to be. I mean, you can tell that less people are smoking, more people are just, I guess, vaping or whatever, or stopping completely. But when you come across in a closed room somebody who's been smoking, they smell awful. It's disgusting.
I have to say that vaping is very, very gay. Vaping is at least 10
Vaping
times.
is gay.
Yeah.
Vaping was invented by a white man, by the way. It's a white man's invention.
Yeah, but it was gay.
And it's gay. Yeah. It's a gay invention. Like, if you're going to smoke, right? Don't give me this vaping nonsense.
It doesn't stink. And,
yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. It stinks of fucking strawberries and shit.
Well,
if you say that's nice, if you say that's nicer than tobacco, I'm never talking to you again. I'm just assuming you're gay.
Well, I'm against it all. I'm against all of it. By the way, I'm being. Godzone is calling me out on my grammar. It's not less, it's fewer. Of course. Yep.
Grammar Nazi, Godzone prototype.
Yeah, I make this mistake all the time.
Yeah, not sure it applies to pregnant women though. Yeah, I know a lady who was pregnant. She smoked through the pregnancy, and the kid came out and it was a retard. So there you go.
What a shock!
Yeah, what a shock! Like, honey, just you're pregnant. Can you please just stop smoking? But anyway, yeah, it is a question. It is a, I don't know, man. I don't know where you guys stand on the drug question. Hitchens obviously is famously completely against it. I suspect that one of the reasons he doesn't like Nigel Farage is because Farage apparently is pro-marijuana, although I've never heard him talk about it at all. It's just that apparently he said something that was pro-marijuana like 10 years ago, and Hitchens has never, ever forgotten it or forgiven him for it. So that's why he can't support Farage and he can't support reform. He's just like lurking in the background as the eternal gloomer doomer. Yeah. But I looked it up. Marijuana was made illegal in this country in 1928. Before that, it was legal. And in the period of history when we conquered the entire world, we had opium dens in this country, and you could go to a chemist and you could buy cough medicine with opium in it. So I just don't think drugs are the problem. I think that there is drug addiction is a symptom rather than the actual issue itself. You're always going to have some lazy people in society who are just going to mope around the place getting high, but it's always just going to be usually just a 10%. And most people, like if marijuana is, I guess marijuana stays in your system for longer and what have you, but if it's legal, people would just smoke at the weekends for the most part, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I'm waiting on it for it to come out that the Southport stabber smoked marijuana, and for Hitchens to go off on that. So.
Oh fuck me! Oh yeah. Oh, the eternal Hitchens take. Whenever there's a terrorist attack or whatever, it's always blame the marijuana.
He's a teenager in Liverpool. He almost certainly has smoked weed.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem like a big issue. I mean, like at work, like I talk to the Zoomers, and they're all just talking about ketamine, apparently, which is what the younger generation does now, and like talking about being in the ket hole or whatever. And they're all doing coke, they're all doing ketamine, MDMA. I don't know, man. It's just like it just doesn't really seem to be a big deal. Nobody seems to care about it. That's just what you do. You go to parties, you get drunk, you smoke some weed, you do some ketamine, and nobody gives a fuck. And I don't know, man. Like getting all stiff and upset about it just seems to be retarded to me. It's like at least you're socializing. You know what I mean? I don't see the problem with it.
Obviously, my antagonization against it all is simply coming from a point of view. I wish that we it was one of the things that really used to annoy me about Academic Agent Circle, that there was the pushing of this vice and degeneracy all the time, like cigars and alcohol and drinking, like that this stuff is based. And I get the fact that you guys who partake in it enjoy this kind of stuff, and you enjoy these moments when you're drinking or in the pub or whatever, and you find, you enjoy it and stuff, but necessarily to push it to a young crowd as being based, like what I saw was, what really tipped me over the edge was that guy with the blonde hair called Turnip in Academic Agent Circle went to the American event and was pictured with a cigar. And I said, that is because he's emulating who he looks up to. He's emulating Academic Agent and the other guys. They even have, they make a part of the events, I think, cigars afterwards. And I said, it's okay like that. But the truth is, like, especially for a youngster like him, cigars suck. I mean, I don't know, but I'm guessing that they do. And what's actually going to happen is he's going to end up with a cigarette habit from this. And this just isn't on. I don't like it. And I felt like I was the only one pushing back against it. And I wish we had, God forbid, dare I say, more of a, and I'm not promoting this guy, but more of a tilt towards like the pushing of health and vitality that you get from like the Bronze Age pervert style of movement. And I'm not pushing Bronze Age pervert, but a tilt towards vitality, being healthy, like lifting and that kind of stuff for young men rather than drinking and cigars.
Yeah, well, raw egg nationalist. I mean, what's your take on him then? I like him, by the way. I think he's great. And I also love the fact that when he got doxxed, Keith Woods came out and just made fun of him. And I fucking hate Keith Woods because he's Irish and he's pro-IRA. And he shits on the English. I mean, he says English people are the people of Mammon and et cetera, et cetera. And so, like, there's a riff there. And it just feels like, you've got a choice between little Twinkie boy Keith Woods or Chad Cornish man, raw egg nationalist, and he did his. I don't really follow the guy on Twitter. I mean, I don't really know that much about him, but I just watched the video that he did with the Lotus Eaters, and he seems to be quite educated, well spoken, does his reading, and I'm really glad he's part of the movement now. Yeah,
well, let's be honest. What the critique is from Keith and like. The people who push back, I think, mainly fostered by the Groypers and Nick Fuentes. They had the beef with the BAP sphere, with Bronze Age pervert, raw egg nationalists, who they call raw egg Zionist, is that they are essentially like part of this right wing that is Israel shilling, or at least ambivalent to Israel and Zionism. And so that is the critique. Let's be honest about it. But I also approve of like the message of giving young men a positive message about masculinity and vitality and directing them into avenues that are pro a young man's traits, which are being strong, energetic, able to manipulate your environment, and all like the stuff that modernity has tried to cull out of us as young men. And I don't think so. I think there is some positivity from the BAP sphere. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I agree. Absolutely. I mean, I don't smoke cigars. I just think it's kind of funny and larpy. Victorians used to do it. Churchill did it. So I don't know. Like, it's not so bad. Like, it's an English cultural thing. Smoke a cigar, drink whiskey, pretend you're a gentleman. Okay, people want to do that. Like, maybe one cigar a week is not going to hurt you. But yes, generally speaking, better to go to the gym. Definitely. Like, that's the real role model you should be following. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, there's going to be a lot of people on the internet as well that just they don't want to go to a gym because it is very boring. I hate them. But there's alternatives. Just do a sport. Or I've my girlfriend had horses, and then I started doing horses pretty much every day. And you got to pretty much wrestle them sometimes, and they are big creatures. And if they're not pulling, if they're not following you, then you got to pull on them a bit, and that gives you a bit of a workout. It's not, and then obviously shoveling the poo. My God, that's a big job. You know, you could do something that keeps you fit and healthy. You don't need to do this whole, you know, gym routine or something unless you're properly going for a bodybuilder's aesthetic, which I'm not. I don't care if I'm a bit fat, but as long as, because, you know, the stocky Welsh, I'm not Welsh, but you get the idea. You know, you can be stocky and, you know, world's strongest man. They're healthy, but they eat like 17 eggs a day and they look fat, but they're probably some of the healthiest people on the planet.
No, you're 100% right. Yeah. I mean, there is like the whole bodybuilding thing is very it's for Instagram. You know, it's for Instagram and it's for girls, and it's like, look at me with my six pack, please have sex with me, basically. And there are plenty of farmers out there, for example, who are very big, very strong, but also fat, but you wouldn't want to fight them. Do you know what I mean? Because they're just really, really tough guys, and they work all day long. And they're very healthy, and you don't need a six pack, and you don't need a bodybuilder's physique to be healthy. It is just a vanity thing, but nonetheless, you know, it's you know, it's
we have lost this thing though, haven't we? Where for young men, for the youth, for like teenagers and young men, the highest ideal, say like back in ancient Greece and Rome and stuff, was like the athlete, because that was their prowess. And now we've totally gone away from this, and I think this is so bad for society. And like, I honestly think that like 50% of education of young men or something should be physical.
Oh yeah, we definitely need more physical education. I mean, I used to, when I was younger, I used to hate it. I kind of grew into it as I got older, but I kind of wish I was more forced to do it. I think to be fair, I think I hated it because I was doing 4 sports a week at that age. I was like, I don't want to do more at school. My God, it's just tiring me out. But, you know, I'll have been doing a total of what?
Well, I think
probably 8 hours of sport a week. But go on.
Yeah, but you're doing that combined with then all the other classes, like at school, and you go to maths, then to PE, then to geography, and it's like, what the fuck is going on here? No, you should have a day that is like sports.
Yeah.
Whatever. It's not, you know, it shouldn't be rammed in between other subjects and stuff like this.
I think the sports would definitely be better than the bodybuilding stuff, because you get the camaraderie, you get the teamwork, and it's more focused on this. Yeah, it's focused on the skill. There's not really any skill involved with bodybuilding, but if you play football, you know, you got the hand-eye coordination, you got the competitive aspect where you win something. The bodybuilding is narcissistic, and you see bodybuilding. Like I work with a bodybuilder, and the guy's like always looking at his muscles, like, and I'm just like, mate, you on steroids? Are you gay? You know, it's just like a bit of banter, but it's like, if you do bodybuilding, you end up just looking at yourself in the mirror all day long, which is a little bit gay, a little bit female.
Back on that subject.
Yeah. Oh, fuck, you know, it's really been extreme like that, isn't it? But it is. It's very narcissistic. But then again, on the other hand, in defense of the bodybuilders, in the modern day dating market, everything is centered around Tinder, and so everything is centered around your profile pic. And if you post a six pack on Tinder, then you can get a date. You know, so it does kind of make sense for guys to do that kind of thing.
It seems like there's something gay about it, and in some aspects perhaps there is. But the true thing about it is that when a young guy realizes that if he trains a muscle group, he can really change his body, then it's just like, I don't know, there's something autistic about it, where you can just realize, wow, I can see these differences coming out, and unlike a girl, I can actually like really manipulate my body through this magical thing that is testosterone flowing through my veins. I just have to put some effort and focus into it, and I can become like this transformed beast of a creature. And there's something that when guys get into this zone, they realize they can do this through the magic of testosterone that girls don't have, and I mean, you know, natural testosterone, not the ones who are like injecting it in their ass. I'm just talking about how young guys, particularly
testicle
from like 15,
testosterone.
Yeah, from like 15 to 25, if you're in that magical window and you realize I can like drastically change my physical composition just with focus and artistic effort into it, it becomes addictive, and there's nothing wrong with that.
No, there's nothing wrong with it at all. It's not my intention to discourage it. It's just, and it's also like in many ways, the path of least resistance, because our culture is kind of centered around the gym now, and that's just what people do. They go to the gym. They don't really do group sports. They don't really join football teams or cricket teams or whatever. It's just go to the gym, listen to your music, do your thing.
It's still very atomized, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very individualistic. Yeah.
Even, I mean, if the Romans were doing, bodybuilding work, it'd at least be in a gym with people that they'd wrestle with or fight with or do, well, probably with other soldiers that they're in the century with, or whatever it was called. I'm not very good at my Roman history.
Yeah, and there would have been more of a skill aspect, like the horse or climbing a rope or various different. Well, you know what gymnastics are like in the Olympics. I mean, that's the real gymnastics. That stuff is just incredible.
Yeah, it's all about competing. Men, young men especially, they are competitive, and if you encourage this in a non-violent way, where people aren't dying or getting hurt, then which is sports, then men, some guys hate it. Okay, well, there's always going to be that aspect of kids. Everybody knows this, who just don't take to sports, and that's fine. Those people are naturally directed towards academic stuff.
Turned out gay, in my experience.
Reading.
But, I mean, there is the role for the nerd. There is the role of the nerd in society and the natural academics. But for the vast majority, I think, of young guys, if we could just focus them into sports, it would be good, because we're naturally competitive. We want to compete and prove ourselves against each other.
Yeah, it's definitely good. Anyway, 2 hours. Should we just round things off and talk about... Oh, fuck it, I've just lost it. I've just said that. Let me scroll down. Find the Trump thing. We'll talk about this, and then we'll knock it on the head if I just scroll down here.
By the way, everybody watching, could you give the stream a thumbs up and leave some feedback on it? It was good to hear your comments from last week, so keep it up. Thank you very much.
This was just hilarious.
Some of your own supporters, including Republicans on Capitol Hill, have labeled Vice President Kamala Harris, who is the first Black and Asian American woman to serve as vice president and be on a major party ticket, as a DEI hire. Is that acceptable language to you? And will you tell those Republicans and those supporters to stop it?
How do you define DEI? Go ahead. How do you define
diversity, equity, and inclusion?
Okay, yeah. Go ahead. Is that what your definition?
That is
give me a definition
the
then. Would you give me a definition?
DEI.
Give me a definition.
Sir, I'm asking you a question.
No,
a
you
very
have to
direct
define
question.
it. Define it for me, if you
I
would.
just defined it, sir. Do you believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is only on the ticket because she is a Black woman?
Well, I can say no. I think it's maybe a little bit different. So, I've known her a long time indirectly, not directly, very much, and she was always of Indian heritage, and she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was Black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn Black, and now she wants to be known as Black. So I don't know, is she Indian or is she Black?
She is always
But you know
identified
what?
as a Black woman.
I
She went to a
respect
historically
either
Black
one.
college.
I respect either one, but she obviously doesn't, because she was Indian all the way, and then all of a sudden she made a turn and she became a Black person.
Just to be clear, sir, do
And
you
I think
believe-
everybody should look
It's
into
funnier
that.
the second time.
Continue in a very hostile, nasty tone.
Oh, man.
I need that on a soundboard. She became a Black woman.
He's so great. He's so funny. It's like you want to hate him, but you just can't. He's just too funny. You know what I mean?
It was a bit earlier as well when he's getting her to define DEI, and she says diversity, equity, inclusion. I just defined it for you. It's interesting to see that leftists don't even understand what they talk about almost all the time. It's incredible. But yeah, great little bit.
Yeah. So look,
this whole thing was crazy. This whole interview.
I mean, my take, I haven't watched the whole thing, but my take on this, following on from what we said about it last week, is obviously we have the assassination attempt. Everybody's talking about Trump, 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 Trump. They're trying to memory hole that now, and then Kamala Harris steps up. She's gonna be the nominee. You pointed out last week, SJJ, that the Democrat Party seems to have like stolen the energy somewhat and kind of switched things around. It now appears that it's becoming a race between. Basically, it's about the girl boss. They want to steal. Well, they've got the black vote because she's black, right? And they're getting the girl vote, and they're putting her forward as the girl boss. Break the glass ceiling, yeah. And they're zooming in. The Democrats are zooming in on this JD Vance character, who has, and funny enough, Sargon Akkad was pointing this out on the Lotus Eaters stream that he did with Raw Egg Nationalist, but he's pointing out like he's really unelectable actually, because he's out there and he's shitting on white women and he's calling them cat ladies, and he has a bad vibe. It puts ladies off. They don't like him. They like Trump because Trump's quite laid back, easygoing. I mean, he's a bit of a sexist, but he's a charismatic sexist, so he gets away with it. So the Democrats are aiming for this angle now of vote for the girl boss who's fun and cool and black, and don't vote for that weirdo JD Vance who's weird and he hates women. And it just, I mean, I don't see how Trump is going to dodge this bullet. Like I said last week, I think personally they're just going to steal the election. All they need is plausible deniability, and they've got that. But whatever. I mean, this Trump stepping in here, he's kind of like, well, what the hell he's doing? He's playing the race card essentially. He's just like, is she black or is she Indian? I don't know. It's hilarious. I don't know what you guys think about it.
I mean, I don't know anything about JD Vance, but the point about he's not wrong to say that cat ladies exist and that they're not great, but when you're trying to win an election, that's probably not the time to say it. It's just kind of something you fix with incentives when you're in power, and over time, women will stop being single and being cat ladies. So that's a fair point, but. Kamala's death, I mean, the assassination's almost been memory hold. I mean, there were people on Twitter saying that when they search for Trump assassination attempts, it
check it out.
It doesn't autofill at all. So don't know if there's something. Well, there probably is something that side trying to memory hold that as well. Which if they've tried to do that, well, that's just wild. I didn't think I knew that they were what's the word, audacious, but not that audacious. So. I think Trump's still going to win, but Kamala just does not. Already, Kamala had a bit of a honeymoon period for about 3 days, and now the polls are pretty much back to where they were. So I don't think there's any worry about it, really.
I think this momentum could have an effect. I'm a bit more cynical. I think this momentum of Kamala's actually could carry through. How do you say the name, by the way? Is it Kamala? What the hell is it? I know you're racist if you phrase it wrong, apparently. So
well, I mean, having lived in India for many years, Kamala is an Indian word. So I just say it actually means lotus. So
you pronounce it like a camel with an A, Kamala.
Well, that's the way I always used to pronounce it. Maybe she pronounces it differently, but I'm calling her Kamala because, well, I know it. Yeah, I've met people called Kamala, so there you go.
Anyway, my take is so good. I want to reissue it this week. I think there's even a second week left in it. That look, the stuff with Biden about him pretending to be dead and then all this stuff was deliberately done by the Democratic Party to shift the narrative. It got everybody on the internet talking about, is Biden dead? What the heck's going on? All the schizos were spurging out and everything. And this changed the narrative away from the Trump assassination. And then he pops up literally a week later to endorse Kamala. And all the schizos had been wrong. And I think this was deliberate. They've got the momentum now. I know it's all astroturfed. But normies succumb to this kind of stuff, so it is a bit of a worry.
They successfully framed Trump as the weird guy, basically. Weird guy, conspiracy theorist, and with a vice president who hates women, essentially. So, I mean, I don't know. Haryan, do you think they stole the election in 2020 or not?
The term I always hear from people like Don the Pleb are both sides try and cheat. It's just Democrats are better at it. And at the end of the day, I don't think it matters. If the peaceful handover of power has happened, it doesn't even matter if they stole it. Everything around it has said that it was legitimate. So I reckon that they did cheat, but I reckon the Republicans tried to cheat too, which is they didn't do as well. Having said that, they're definitely going to try to do the same things, obviously. It's just, can they get the legitimate votes to get on side this time around? I don't know. I mean, I reckon Trump will still win, but I think it'll be closer than it would have been if Biden was there. But I can't see Kamala Harris taking it. People just, you got to bear in mind, she was one of the most unpopular. No one in the Democratic primaries voted for her. She was one of the worst candidates for it. She's one of the most unpopular vice presidents. I just don't see how it's in any way a positive for the Democrats. But
well, it's better than Biden. I mean, for me, it boils down to the fact I think the Democrats did steal the election in 2020. I remember watching it. I remember them shutting down the election. I remember various different states where Trump was winning, and then all of a sudden, after they closed the vote, a day later, all of a sudden, magically, Biden's winning. I mean, and I remember the videos of them kicking the Republican counters out of the election counting rooms, whatever you call it. But I remember all this stuff, and I don't know. It seems obvious, like they stole it to me. But nonetheless, Trump has been saying that they stole it, and he mentioned to Tucker Carlson, he says, well, I've got a plan to stop it. And it's like, well, what is your plan, Trump? What is it? Because it should be laid out by now, and you should be ready, but you don't appear to be. So if, and I know it's a big if, but if they did steal it in 2020, then all they really need is plausible deniability to steal it in 2024, and Kamala Harris gives them that plausible deniability. If they didn't steal it, then yeah, maybe Trump can win it. But if they did steal it, then Kamala's going to win it. I think that's my take.
Well, here's the metric, right? Just let me just move that before you answer it. I want to ask you, how many votes? Do you know how many votes were cast by absentee? They call them absentee ballots. We would call them postal ballots here in the UK. How many ballots in the 2020 election do you think were cast by postal vote?
It was a few million, wasn't it? I don't know, 3 million.
20.
No, 69% of the votes were cast by mail-in ballot.
Oh, really?
Fucking really?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. This is look, United States Census Bureau. This is census.gov. 69% of voters nationwide cast their ballot non-traditionally by mail and or before the election day. So, I mean, that if it was stolen, that is how it was done.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that's how the Biden bump came about, isn't it? The idea is that they count all the postal votes kind of separately, and then.
I mean, that is a shocking figure.
I didn't realize
70% of people.
Yeah. I'm not even sure, because typically, as well, it's people abroad who vote via postal ballots like that as well. I don't think that many Americans are abroad.
Yeah. Apparently, it's an ongoing trend. I mean, here's the trend from election day voting. Like in 2016, it was just above 50%, but then it drops right down in 2020 due to COVID.
Yeah.
So, I mean, in a way, Trump sealed it. You know, he created this situation through like the lockdowns and stuff. I know all America wasn't in lockdown, but the response to COVID allowed this situation to happen, whereby
that's a good point. Yeah,
you know, they could
the thing is,
encourage everybody to vote.
He saw it coming. He knew it was going to happen. He talked about it. I remember sitting there in 2020 thinking he's got to have a plan. He must have a plan. He knows that he's talking about them stealing the election with a mail-in vote. He must have a plan. But then we get to election day and it turns out he doesn't have a plan. And now 4 years later, it doesn't really appear like he's got a plan. He says he's got a plan to Tucker Carlson, but what is the plan? We don't know. So I don't think he's going to win it. I think Kamala's going to win it. But I mean, I hope I'm wrong. So there you go. Even if he does win it, it's just going to be more tranny bollocks. Which, by the way, is, JD Vance shitting on white women. Okay, I agree. Let's all shit on white women. Blah blah blah. But the thing is, like, if all you're doing is hating white women, but you're not pointing out all the homosexuality and the transgender problems, and you're not pointing out, black crime. 13% of the population, 50% of the crime. You're not pointing out these things. I think it's a little bit unfair on the white women, to be honest with you.
That's a fair point. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, or put all the hate on them, but ignore all the other shit that's going on. No, it's no. Come on, man.
Yeah, so much can happen between now and November. They've got to have a debate. Surely they're not going to get away without Kamala and Trump ending up on a stage together. There's got to be at least one debate, probably more than one. You saw what happened with the last one. So much can happen between now and then. So I think it's all to play for. Also, we've got to factor in that Trump fully has on board this time the machine of Elon Musk, Peter Thiel. He now is in control of, as AA or Mentrich Mobile would say, one of the castles of social media with Twitter. So these things are in his favour.
Yeah, he might get the vote just so he can start a war with Iran, basically. Basically, Benjamin Netanyahu was just say, yeah, let Trump win, and so he can blow up the Middle East for us. Maybe that's the backroom deal.
Well,
maybe that's Trump's plan. Maybe that's what he's actually meant when he said to Tucker Carlson, when he said he had a plan. The plan was Benjamin Netanyahu.
If he doesn't, we're doing this all again in 4 years.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, can't wait.
Can't wait. All right. Haryan, thank you very much. 3 hours. That was a long stream. And
thank you for having me on.
You stuck with us, and usually we do 2 hours, but we got 3 guests, so I guess we went for 3. But there you go. Thank you very much for coming on, everybody in the chat. Go and subscribe. You probably know who Haryan is anyway, don't you? But just go and
subscribe to me anyway. Yeah,
go and subscribe. SJJ,
yeah, you've got
as always.
10k, haven't you, Haryan, on your channel?
Almost. I'm on 9. Nearly 9.1. Yeah. I've massively. I think about 6 months ago, probably more than that at this point, I was under like 7.5k. I was, so it's pretty good that it's gone up by 1.5k this year. So I'm hoping to get to 10k by the end of the year, but I'm gonna have to pump out. Well, pumping out videos just seems to be working, and getting back in streaming seems to have helped too. So yes, I'll get you two on a stream of mine at some point as well.
Yeah, let's do it, bro.
Yeah, we can share the audience. I have to get you on my channel and get my over as well.
You can get the Claire Core audience. Do you know who Claire Core is, Haryan?
I have no idea.
You don't want to know. You don't want to know.
Waiting. It's going to be a treat.
Yeah. Oh, jeez. Yeah,
Brutus messaged me and said you said you want to get her on this channel, didn't you?
Claire Core on this channel? No, I've already spoken to her. No, I don't. No, I don't want to. No, give it another 10 years. I'll talk to her again. Yeah. Anyway, no, pleasure. Yeah, Haryan's a big fish. Thank you for coming on. Yeah, dude, it's been fun.
Yeah, good to talk to you, dude.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, hope we can do it more.
Hope we do it more. All right. Well, good night, everyone, and thank you everybody in the chat for watching. As always, like, subscribe, share the video, and once again, this is a peace and love live stream. Okay, we love everybody. All right. God bless. God bless.
I'm a
everybody.
liberal.
And good night. We're all liberals here. Good night. Good night.
Bye now.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye-bye. It won't end. The stream just will refuse to die. I clicked end stream. It's just like going in a circle. Fucking stop.
You can do it directly through YouTube.